Okay. We've got it. Now we just wait. We wait for the people. I also need to... Oh, wait. Never mind. I don't need to refresh it. Ha ha ha. Oh, maybe I do. No, never mind. I don't. Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Alright. Let me... I should probably state in my Discord that I'm streaming. Streaming right now with Galetaer about school stories. There we go. I should switch positions. The creaking.
The creaking. My chair creaks too. Every time I lean back, it's just like breaks itself and then reforms anew.
Oh gosh. Alright. I don't think my sister's gonna be here this time for this, which is sad because I'm pretty sure school stuff, like old like school stories, is like one of her favorite things to talk about. And like usually she has a lot to like give me to talk about for that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. It's definitely a fun topic. I'm a boring person though. I'm curious about how much I could come up with on the topic.
But see, that's the thing, right? Like with the Let's Talk and stuff, it's I feel like it's one of those things where if someone says like one story or like one little detail will be like a connection to something else with someone else, or someone else's stories, something they'll remember, they'll be like, oh yeah, and then they'll like connect it.
Yeah, they're intertwined. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Still waiting. Just waiting for some more
Just
people
loitering.
to join. Yeah, loitering. You gotta say it with like an accent. Loiter.
Loitering.
Yeah, you can. You're just as bad as me.
No, I'm awful with accents. I don't know what kind of accent I can do that would be actually accurate to something.
Honestly, I am terrible with I can't I think it's like rare for people, but I'm pretty sure I can't you know how people like they roll their like R's and stuff when they speak in a certain like accent or like a different language. I can't actually do that physically.
No, I can't either.
Really?
No, not at all. Like,
Okay.
everybody's like, what? You can't do that? I'm like,
Yeah.
no, not at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's so annoying. And like I've actually it's kind of sad to say, but in the past when people have like tried to get me to try and do it, and they're like, oh, you just do it like this, and like I try my best to do it the way that they describe how they do it, and it's like I just can't, and I get so frustrated that I end up crying because I feel like, oh, am I like weird? Am I like the odd one out? I don't know. It's just so frustrating, and it just makes me cry.
No, sometimes you're just a mutant, like we are. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how I could convince myself, or make myself, or teach myself to roll my R's. I don't know.
Look at that leg.
Leg.
I'm like, should we start now? Or should I wait? Normally I would bugle. But like, I'm getting low on bugles. So,
I am not worthy. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It depends. How many people... It'd be interesting to kind of find out how many people come from the Bugles versus like the Discord versus just like
Do you wanna test it? Because like it's been a while since but let's do it. I was gonna save this one for when I hit like 100 people interviewed, but like who cares? No, well, I mean, no, that sounds bad. You know what I mean?
I can repay you.
Let's see if this will actually fit this time.
Join us.
TV/. Fuck, it doesn't. Alright, well. Let's talk. Twitch.tv/Taminogi. yeah, I guess that's it. That's all I'm gonna do.
Just you better join us right away.
This is gonna be it.
Oh yeah.
Well, it started at 6, so let's see. See how many people a bugle actually brings. And then we can start. Honestly, because I don't care in the end how many people come to watch, but it's gonna be a VOD anyway and all that, you know. People can watch it later.
Yeah, sure.
Alright.
It's a special experience. Just be there and bug everybody while they're talking. Be in the chat. Pose your own questions, you know.
Yeah. Oh gosh,
10
that
people
jump.
like jumped in right away.
Yeah.
Welcome,
all right.
everyone.
Welcome. I have Gail with me, and we're gonna talk about some school stories. Tabari, I'm already here, so everyone else has no excuse.
Tabari, I love you. You're my favorite.
All right. So, welcome everybody who just joined. Today we're going to be talking about school stories. So, like, I feel like the main stories are going to be, honestly, elementary school stories, or like, you know, when you were little and you were in school. But to be completely fair, I don't have like any high school stories, if that's what you were hoping for, because halfway into middle school I went into homeschooling, which I guess they have their own stories. Like homeschooling stuff has its own thing for me, but yeah, not very many compared to like if you went to real, you know, public school. Not that homeschooling isn't real, but yeah. Also, hi Kaylee, welcome again. You're good at coming to my streams. I love it.
Welcome, everyone.
The real MVP. All right, so I guess let's start. I kind of want to start with like, did you ever have like that experience in elementary school where like every kid in the playground or just in general in the school like made up the most weird rumors? Like they were crazy, but everyone believed them.
I don't remember any specific examples of that, but I'm pretty sure it did happen. Just like some whack stuff. But like thinking back that far, yeah, I'm not too sure if I have any specific stories regarding that in particular. What's your take on it, though? Like, what kind of stories circulate?
What kind of stories?
School?
Okay, well,
yeah.
Let me just tell you. The kids in my school like to make up stories about how, like, there was this. One of them is like there was a sewer drain that was in the middle of like a part of like the concrete in like the front of the school, and people used to say that there was someone living in the sewer. And like that they would, like, if you came at the right time of day, it would, like, someone would be there, like you could see their eyes. And if you lost anything down there, it was like gone forever, which obviously is kind of true in its own way, but not because there was like somebody down there. But that's just one of the stories. If anyone had something like that, you know, let me know, because I know I'm not the only one.
I guess there probably is one, and that would be one that I can remember right now, and that is there's a power station right next to my old elementary school, and people kept saying the fence was electrified, but that's not true. Yeah, everybody was like, "Don't touch that fence." They're like, "It's an electric fence." Like I think it had barbed wire on it, but
boy.
Yeah, it was not electric.
Don't touch it or you'll die.
Not at all. Kid just went right up to it and slapped that thing. They were fine.
Oh gosh. Another one that we had was like we had like a huge field. Well, like, you know, most schools do, but there were 3 big trees in the back, and like all same size, all placed like a good space apart from each other. But they were like the back trees. That's what every kid called them. It's just the back trees. And there was one tree specifically that had like, you know, like the usual, I guess, hole in like the middle of the tree that you could look inside. Like you would think in like a cartoon, it's just that regular, you know, I don't even know how to describe it, but like an owl would be in there kind of thing.
Yeah, like a hollow in the tree.
Yeah. So, people would make up rumors. I know which kid actually made it up too. Like, there was this one girl named Samantha, and she was in my class. She was, like, kind of new to the school too, so she was, like, one of those kids that come in and everyone's, like, interested in them and, like, getting to know them and, like, where they're from and all that stuff. And she was, like, the coolest kid. But, like, she made up a rumor that there was a snake in the tree. And everyone would always, like, look into the hollow of the tree and be like, where's the snake? And it's like, oh, it only comes out at night. It's like, ooh. Ooh, that's so interesting. Like, everybody wants to see a snake when they're little. Well, except for people who are scared of snakes, but, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. As a kid, I would have been terrified, but then there would have been, like, that certain subset of kids where it's like they walk up to the tree and they're just like, come on, snakey, bite me in the neck. So there's definitely a dichotomy of children. There's the ones that err on the side of caution. There's the ones that are like, I'm gonna get to that snake no matter what. You're not gonna stop me, and that's usually how it was.
Oh my gosh. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when it comes to stories, actually, there's one that ended up being true with my school. And people kept saying there's bats in this like gigantic chimney-like structure, or these are gigantic bats because we're tiny kids, attached to the school. And we're like, no, there's no way. And then one day there was like inclement weather. It was like kind of like a stormy weather, but it wasn't raining. It was just like basically overcast.
Yeah.
And a ton of like these flying things came out of it, and everybody, of course, we were freaking out. There's like 200, but they're like really tiny. But they're like these tiny birds that just like nestled up in that like chimney. Yeah, they're just like tiny little things. They like flew around like a gigantic swarm and just kind of like went away. Either there were some crazy small bird-like bats, or they were just little birds. But either way, everybody was impressed. That actually ended up being true, which astounded pretty much everybody because nobody believed it.
Jeez. Well, like, you mean it was completely true that it was bats? You mean, like, in the end?
It was completely true that it was like something was in the tube.
Yeah.
Before that, nobody really seen anything, at least not like en masse. So nobody really knew.
I gotcha. There were also, like, totally made up stuff that happened. Tabari, oh my god, you want your face all over. I see how it is. No, what was I saying? There was also stuff where, like, it was just, not even just rumors like that, but there was, like, a lot of stuff that was, how do I describe this? Just kids were so gullible back then, including, you know, myself. I'm not being a hypocrite or anything, you know, everyone had their gullible days, you know, as a kid, because, you know, we weren't completely developed at that point, but, so me and my twin sister and I, if anyone wants to be all grammar, there was, like, this big storage container out in the field of our school, in elementary school, and my sister, for some reason, decided to tell people that she could see through walls. And everyone's like, okay, prove it. And, like, so what they did was they had her on, like, one side of the storage container, and, like, I, along with the other kids that wanted to see if it was true, went on, like, the other side of it. And so what they wanted to do was, like have, you know, do stuff like on the other side of the storage container and see if she could see through the entire storage container just to prove it. But, like, me being her twin sister, I, like, stayed on the edge, like, right around the corner, and I'd, like, do movements to show, like, what they were doing so she could just come around and be like, yeah, you were doing this.
Yeah, you just, like, pantomiming it.
And I don't know why I, like, let her do that, but I thought it was hilarious. So that, you know, that must have been why. Also, hi May, welcome.
That's been funny.
And welcome to anyone else who's just joining us. And thank you for the follows. I don't have everything set up for my stream yet to see, like, notifications for follows, but yeah, welcome and thank you for following. If also we're talking about school stories, so if anyone wants to share their stories from, like, elementary school, middle school, high school, it doesn't really matter, or even, you know, college, university, just school stuff, feel free to, and we can maybe talk about more stuff continued on, or, like, you saying a story may spark a story that maybe was forgotten for someone else, right? And that could, you know, spark more conversation. But yeah, so if you guys have stories, feel free. But let me think. What else do we have? I also really liked the whole dynamic that kids had all the time, where they were like not entirely gangs, but like they're Brett, you being silly. I see that. I see you, Brett. Go do your homework, Brett.
Yeah, not gangs, but like cliques. There definitely were certain cliques of like kids that just like grouped like together and stuck together and stayed that way throughout pretty much the entirety of grade school.
Yeah, it's very true. What I was gonna say was like, I remember there was like this one like group of boys that always hung out at like one of the back trees that I was talking about before. And then me, my sister, and one of our friends, we were like, it was like there was like the guy group and there was the girl group. It was really weird. But like we saw that tree as our little territory for our girl group, and then they came along with their guy group and they decided, oh no, this is our tree, what are you talking about? And like we held these games, like this competition to see whose territory it was. And like I'm just thinking about how like fun that was, as much as that sounds like toxic. But you know, when you're kids, I feel like that's so fun, that kind of thing. Like I'm pretty sure we chose like one of the guys versus one of the girls would be like, it was a test for what you know for like math knowledge, I think it was, which I'm just realizing that was so flawed, because what if both of them got the wrong answer? Or like everyone else could be like, oh yeah, that's the right answer, but it actually wasn't, just to make sure that someone else won. But like, and then there was also, this is the classic, you know, we had one guy, one girl do the running contest. Whoever is the fastest wins. You know that, you know, you got the whole classic fastest runner in my class kind of thing. You were the cool kid if you were the fastest runner. I can't remember what the other thing was, but yeah, so yeah, pretty much we had like boy girl competitions. It was really fun, all for the territory of the tree, which I think after that nobody really ended up winning. Like it was always gonna be like, everyone's like, no, you didn't win, I won, you know, that kind of thing. But I think after that everyone gave up anyway, and like nobody actually went to the tree anymore very often, so it was all kind of for nothing.
It was all for naught. Actually, you mentioned that the same thing with the trees like happened at my school too. When elementary school, I swear, like everybody had like their own little territories or tried to like establish them.
Yeah,
I think that's normal with kids. They're like, this is my fort and you will not pass. And the thing is, there was no contest though, because there's always this teacher that seemed to hang out with this group of like you know, like younger girls that attended. Yeah, like 6 or 7 of them, and she would like jokingly like side with them and stuff. But as kids, we took it seriously. That was like a blood pact to us. Oh. So, but it was definitely just really funny looking back on it, and just like goofy overall.
Yeah.
But like overall, actually, yeah, basically it's the same thing as you mentioned, just like kind of like the cliques and like the competition for like having your own like little area on the playground. Yeah. You know, that really rings true for my experience as well.
I feel like everyone had like something similar in their school, in elementary school at least. Tabari says, in elementary school, my friends and I would use a wood skid filled with styrofoam and float down the creek. What? Like actually, like during school, would they let you do that? I feel like that's, what are you talking about? I feel like there would be like, well, we had like what were called duties. So like just, you know, a grown up that would like be watching the playground all the time, and you weren't allowed to go in certain areas. I feel like you must be talking about like not during school time then, right?
Yeah, if I tried that on the playground with my friends, like I couldn't even walk near the fence all the way. There's like a freaking teacher in a guard tower practically aiming at you with a 50 cal. Like you're not walking within 10 feet of that fence without getting caught.
Oh, summer, yeah. Yeah, so summer, it must be, yeah, off of school and Well, summer was always the greatest times, though, honestly. I mean, I feel like it was. I don't know. Some people, I know my boyfriend told me recently that he never really got to do much during the summer, or like he didn't have many friends to hang out with during the summer, and like maybe he would go to his grandparents and stuff and have fun there instead. So I assume not everybody had the chance to go and hang out with people a lot during the summer.
Yeah, when I was in elementary school and in general in school, I really didn't have like a lot of like close peers I can hang out with like nearby. And so it was either like on my own or just hang out with grandparents, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So just that was kind of my experience. I really didn't actually get like the whole like running around the neighborhood experience that like a lot of people did as kids.
Yeah, I didn't have that whole like. Well, I went to my grandparents during the summer, but yeah, mine was totally different. I had kids to run around with all the time. Yeah, summer vacation is always the best time for kids. I agreed to Bari. May, no, come on. You had to have some friends. Come on. Don't say that you didn't have any friends. Please. It's so sad. Oh, gosh. You're a nice person. Oh, my God. I just feel so bad. Oh. Well, you have friends now, so that's good. That's, like, the positive side. Very much so. Well, yeah, there's always those people that are gonna think you're weird for, like, whatever thing it is about you, and I feel like you shouldn't take that as personal, I guess. You know, the people that actually like you are the ones who matter, in the end. Because, like, if they don't like you, well, okay, fine, they don't like you, right? Or if they think you're weird, like, oh, maybe people like you because you're weird, who knows, right?
Exactly. Well, I was definitely the odd one out in elementary school because me and my like close friend at the time, we'd like literally just like mess around and do like role play type crap and like play make believe and whatever. And the other kids also in like third grade would judge us for it. They'd be like, "You should be kicking this ball back and forth or like playing hopscotch for 35 minutes like a normal person, weirdo." And I'm just like, "You're just sitting there throwing a ball back and forth for 35 minutes. I don't see how that's any better."
Jeez. Well, let's.
It's like memories.
Let's go to a more positive topic.
No, it was negative at all. It was actually awesome. Most of the kids were incredibly nice.
That's good. But let's talk about another thing that I remember very, very fondly in school. And that was, well, I'm just thinking about it right now. So I was just going to go back to like the elementary school part of it, but I just want to say real quick, I had lots of like, I watched a lot of movies during elementary school. Like they would, roll in the big TV and be like, all right, today's a movie day. And like, that was one of the best days to have. But like, I'm thinking about it. And as soon as it started like going into middle school, it kind of just stopped. Like, we didn't really watch many movies anymore, and, like, I feel like that's kind of sad, because, like I said, like, those are one of the best days, and, like, I understand, school's for learning and stuff, but sometimes kids just kind of want to have a day to, have fun. And you know what? Some of the movies that we watched, too, were very educational and fun at the same time, so that's great. But in elementary school, I remember watching stuff like Holes. Holes was a great movie. I still love that movie. There was obviously Bill Nye the Science Guy. All those were great. Which isn't a movie, but... And like... I remember watching How to Eat Fried Worms. Let's see. Brett says, I mean, that's kind of weird because I remember movie days up until grade 12. Wow, you're lucky. You're lucky. We got like none in middle school before I went into homeschooling. It was like so sad. Pumpkin Skies says, I remember the subs always played movies. Yeah, the substitutes. Because they'd be like, okay, well, what do you do on a normal day? And it's like, maybe the teacher didn't tell them. And I'd be like, all right, well, let's watch a movie.
Oh yeah, for me the movie experience, it usually went, in elementary school. You see the TV, the old CRT TV on like the stand with like the VHS player,
Yep.
and you're like, oh yeah, this is the day we're watching some Magic School Bus.
Oh
Boy.
my gosh.
It's like yeah,
I'm just realizing I don't think we ever watched the Magic School Bus in my schools, which I watched it on my own time, like when I was at home, right? And I loved it. But like, yeah, they never brought it in, I think, to watch in like elementary school and middle school and stuff. Well, I don't think middle school would be inappropriate. Well, you know what? No, it's always appropriate. Who cares? It's the Magic School Bus, but
yeah, you transition to do the age where like you relate to it, to where you kind of meme on it, but you still like it. That's how Magic School Bus goes.
I feel like the really young people are gonna be like, what is all this? What is all this stuff you are speaking of? What is this big TV that you roll out? What are you talking about? It's like, well, most of us that are still playing Mabby are kind of in our 20s right now, so it's, maybe 90s, 2000s. Not everybody, but, a lot of us, so.
Yeah, back when DVD players were expensive.
Yes.
Back when flat screen TVs were $2,000. That's when we grew up.
Oh, yeah, I'm just realizing that's true. Very true. What were some movies that you guys watched with a class?
I'm trying to remember, because mostly usually it was like episodes, like stuff like Bill Nye or Magic School Bus, but it was rarely. I mean, we did watch movies, but like a decent portion of them that I remember were historic, like about the American Civil War or abolishing slavery and things like that. But they were actually quite interesting. And so there's a few films like that we watched actually that were actually quite good. But we never watched anything like Holes or huge feature length things. We did have like an assembly where we watched Spy Kids 1, I think.
What?
That was like the first thing. Yeah, that was like whack. I couldn't believe as a kid we did that. And that was really cool because they gave everybody popcorn, and that was like the highlight. We're like, we love school. Mission accomplished. We love school. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. It's like the school did something recently that none of the kids liked, so it's like, let's make it up to them.
Yeah, we had some like crazy events at school. We had like another one. I don't remember exactly what it was because it was so long ago. We had, it was like this kind of game show type thing where people could grab money out of like one of those like things where it like basically like shoots in like pressurized air and you're like in this little zip up plastic container thing. You could grab money. Yeah, we actually had like that thing. That was a weird, but no, like a couple kids actually out there like freaking go in there and grab money. That was a whack. And then I think it was like a Nestle type thing, like Nestle sponsorship type thing. And then we did one other thing that I remember, which is like I think this one lady came in, like she gave us like this entire story about like this meteorite fragment and how like it caused like a string of luck within her family or something. And by them coming into contact with it, and at the end everybody got to touch it. And then we were, as kids, we were like, magic, heck yeah, luck powers. Like we did not question that whatsoever. So everybody's pretty happy about that because we got bestowed with magical powers by that the author lady. So we were really excited. But those are the ones that I remember that were stand out to me. But in general, like in class, we didn't actually watch a lot of like a normal like cinema type movies. It was either like historical movies or just like show type stuff that I remember.
Yeah. Also, I'm realizing from the chat, a lot of you did have a lot of like history movies. That's interesting. I don't think I remember many. I remember one, but I don't remember exactly. I think it was about I don't remember. I remember one though. I remember one. It was like history and stuff, but that's it though. Or maybe I just completely blanked the rest of them out. Maybe I found them like super boring and I just completely forgot.
Pumpkin Skies in chat. They mentioned Hotel Rwanda. I think I watched that in like middle school, like 7th grade, and that's about like the whole genocide in Rwanda. And we watched that. It was kind of traumatizing. Definitely insightful though. Really quite cool. Jeez. And yeah, we watched Bill Nye in middle school too. We actually, I remember our science teacher showed us one episode, and I never forgot because it like had like the cheesy '90s editing, and it just spammed like deoxyribonucleic acid like over like 20 times. And so now I know that DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and I'll never forget for as long as I live because of that Bill Nye clip. So thank you, Bill Nye, for teaching me against my will with editing.
Just becomes a whole topic of Bill Nye. Like the entire 2 hours is just Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that because, like, yeah, it did persist in the middle school as well. We definitely got that. One of the weirdest thing in middle school, I don't know why they traumatize kids with this. They know what they're doing, but they in health class, there's like this mandatory video of watching like a live birth, and
What?
I'm like, yeah, we had to watch that in health class.
Why?
I don't know if you guys had to do it
No.
too. Yeah, it was uncomfortable, to say the least. I mean, educational in a way, but we could have just read about it. So thanks for that. Uh,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, that was middle school.
Pumpkin
Memories.
Sky says we never had to watch anything like that.
Oh yeah, we did. It was you didn't miss out on anything, trust me.
I don't think I had to, or well, I went into homeschooling, but jeez.
Oh yeah, it was in graphic detail. There was no censorship. It was graphic detail. It was an experience, let me tell you. But
I feel like that's
thankfully-
not entirely necessary either. Like I feel like that's something that maybe you look into when maybe you and your loved one are gonna have a kid. Like I don't know.
exactly.
I get
But,
the whole like describing like this is how kids are made and all that stuff. But like you don't have to actually show a birth. Come on.
That's true, but maybe it was like also to like maybe dissuade kids from like having like sex too early. They're just like
Oh.
no.
Yeah, one
No,
of
no,
those
no.
things.
Maybe one of those things. I don't know. Maybe looking back on it, that's a possibility.
Could be, yeah.
But it was informational in the worst way.
Did you have another story you were going to talk about?
I'm trying to think, because in high school we actually we did a 180 and we started watching like nothing but feature length, like just normal movies when we did get to watch movies. And I remember my senior year, my science teacher, one of my favorite teachers, he was like, "I'm going to show you this cheesy B movie I love. It's called Killer Clowns from Outer Space."
Oh, no.
So we were watching this movie, and it is the most hilarious thing because it's so bad. Like, literally, like there's like this one scene where this guy walks around this corner, and he like walks into another guy with like a shotgun, and there's like a 7-second delay where he just like stands there with like a blank expression, and he's like, "Whoa!" It is the cheesiest. I mean, it's like a horror movie, so it's still like creepy in a way, but like it is just cheesy.
Sorry, you just reminded me of something else as well, actually. I remember in, I think it was I must have been grade 4 or 5. I think it was 5. We ended up watching Old Yeller.
Oh, I haven't seen Old Yeller, but I know the twist with the dog movies. Let me tell you. So that's never a fun experience towards the end.
Yeah, I think we watched it for 2 days straight. Like it was like a part of one of the classes I was taking, and that class only lasted for like it was like a half an hour each day. So we like watched one half hour on one day and then like the next on the next day, and like we got to the part where everything started going downhill, and then it was like the end. Like they didn't show us the rest, and it was like, no, come on.
Like we'll spare you, but we're not gonna, by not showing you the rest of the movie. That's a challenging dilemma because you want to see the rest of the movie because like I want to know how this resolves, but at the same time but it resolves and it's a traumatic experience.
My sister just woke up. She's gonna love knowing that we're talking about school stories.
School story time.
Yes. That's like one of her favorite topics. Tabari says, I remember watching Where the Red Fern Grows in school. I don't know what that is.
It's another dog movie, I should say, but like at least what I know about it. Like I have not read the book. I own the book. It's my bookshelf right now. It's one of the books on my bookshelf I haven't read yet. But I need to because it's pretty short.
Brett says, we watched Marley and Me in middle school. Oh, I remember watching that. I remember being sad. And the reason I was so sad when Marley and Me came out and I watched it with my family is because we had to put our dog down just a little bit before that came out. And so like, it was like the worst time. I cried at the end. Spoiler alert, kind of, I guess, if you haven't seen it, but yikes. Oh, yeah. Bridge to Terabithia. I think I did watch that in school. That and Narnia, I think. Or, no, those were field trips. Yeah, they were field trips. So it wasn't actually in school, but, field trips. Oh, and they also watched WALL-E.
Let's see, Marley and Me, I haven't seen that. Bridge to Terabithia is interesting because I didn't watch the movie in school, but I did see the movie with my grandmother. And I actually owned the book at one point, and I've read it like 6 times cover to cover. And each time I cried. I'm like, this book. Oh my god! It's just like a really tragic ending, and it's
I
very
feel
like
like
abrupt.
I feel like the movie actually displays like child friendship really well too between like girls and guys.
Yeah, it does.
Like it's very realistic, I feel like. Anyway, that's just uh but yeah. What else do we got? Did you guys ever have like well, I'm sure you guys did, I assume. You had like sports day or
Sports day.
something like that.
Sports day. Like anything sports related, I was out because I was the nerdy kid. I was like, you're
Well, it
throwing a
wasn't
football.
no, it wasn't entirely like that. Or well, I'm trying to remember exactly how to describe my sports day like in elementary school, which I don't think we ever had that in middle school again. It was like as soon as I went into middle school, like all the good things just came to an end. It's so sad. Um it yeah, where all the classes competed against each other. You're right, Pumpkin. That's exactly what it was, pretty much. Or well, it was weird. Somehow it wasn't just classes for me. It was like they would choose a number of students from your classroom to be on a certain color team, and like you'd have different people in different grades with different colors. It was interesting. But it was stuff like competing. It was competing like races, classic school stuff.
Yeah, we didn't have any competition based stuff, but we did have like stuff like the fitness grand pacer test, like the meme. Fitness grand pacer test is a multi-stage test, like aerobic fitness test, et cetera, et cetera. We had that and like certain like fitness stuff like that, but it was never competition that I could think of. Besides, like inside gym class and all that.
Yeah.
Then you had like the classic dodgeball stories from kids. I pulled off the Matrix dodge one time and dodgeball. Everybody freaked out.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic, I feel like. Or not a whole other topic, but like that's a whole other school story thing that we can get into. Just dodgeball in general, right?
Oh yeah.
What were you in dodgeball? Like what kind of kid were you in dodgeball? Because I was the type of kid where like I just made sure I dodged everything until the very end. And then it was just me versus another kid, and I'd still lose, but I'd always be like, yes, I was the last one standing. Even though I wasn't actually throwing anything the entire time, I was just dodging.
Yeah, for me it was either dodging or catching, but like I was bad at throwing, so I tried to like just debate people if I was the last man standing, so that way I could catch their ball. But like, half the time I'd lose. It was a few times I did win, but it was always funny because people always get so unnecessarily hype when you're dodging. They're like, "Oh man, oh my god!" There's like freaking out on the sidelines, like it's like the best thing they've ever seen in their life. And like that's always the fun thing about dodgeball is like how everybody's just becomes your hype man when you're like one of like the few people left. It's a very invigorating feeling. Definitely really fun.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, okay, I gotta go through the chat because you guys are giving me good stories. Hold on. Miss Shigo said, back on the sports day thing, oh, I know what you mean. We had Super Kids Day where they had these little obstacle courses and stuff, and you can get stamps, and you turn in the stamps for like snacks or prizes. Kaylee says mine was like that too. I don't know if you mean like yours was like Miss Shigo's or it was like the one that I just described with like the colors and stuff, but Tabari says we had a sports competition with other schools on the last day of elementary. I took second in high jump and third in 100 meter. I can't do anything like that anymore because of my medical issues. That's still awesome though that you had that back then. Like you honestly did really good if you came in second and third. Like that's really awesome. Kaylee says like mine. Yeah, the color thing. It must be... Well, Kaylee lives somewhat near me, so it's probably somewhat similar between schools around here. But yeah. What about you guys for dodgeball? What was your...
Do you have dodgeball stories?
Yeah, do you guys have dodgeball stories? Or, like, what kind of kid were you in dodgeball? Because everyone has, like, a different type of... You were always a different type of kid with dodgeball. It's like a whole other breed.
Yeah, but the weakness of the kid that's good at dodging is like the savage beast who's like plays football like 12 times a week and just like throws the ball like incredibly fast. and it's a lot very difficult to avoid. So if you're left like last standing, you're just like playing chicken with them the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually how it was. Is you're up against like a freaking savage. It was like the opposite of you, and so it was harder to win.
Kaylee says she was the first one out for dodgeball.
Oh no,
poor Kaylee. That's okay, because then you get to sit and watch.
Yeah, you just like sit and be everybody's hype man. It's like, whoa, oh my god. That's honestly really fun. There was a few times where I was eliminated off the bat. And,
yeah,
like,
you get to see all like the
kill.
Yeah, you get to see all the matches unfold. You get to see like the tension. It's like real drama. Yeah. And then Pumpkin Sky says, I think dodgeball was banned at my school. Lol, I don't remember playing it at all. Oh man, I can see how. It depends on like the balls they use, I think. And also how hard, people throw. I think they tell you when you're little, I don't remember anymore, but I think they tell you like you can throw hard but not like too hard, because technically you don't want to hurt anyone, and if you hurt anyone, that's on you, but also on the teachers, and they kind of don't want to get in trouble.
But by the time I hit middle school, we had like those old super hard like rubber balls, and people were just yeeting them at supersonic speeds.
No.
They just like, ricochet off your body.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, that was like the most fun thing ever though, because like it stung when you got hit, but like it was like the most fun thing. Everybody was just like going crazy. And at one time, someone actually ricocheted a ball off the back wall, and it got stuck perfectly in like the triangular point in like the rafters, like an acute angle in the rafters, and it's like it got stuck there. I think until I graduated middle school. Like they never managed to get it out of there. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the other thing about school too, is that like there were always those things, like whether it was like it was in the ceiling or like just stuck somewhere in any sort of room, there was something, and there was like always a story behind it that was told, and like who really knew what the real story is behind how that thing got there? Nobody knows. I remember in middle school, there was this one kid named Tristan. He used to just throw pencils into the ceiling, and they would just get stuck there.
Oh yeah, no, I always noticed that, but I never saw kids throw them. So I'm like, which one of you guys threw this pencil?
Also,
I don't
welcome.
know how you didn't get in trouble.
Welcome to everybody joining.
Y'all.
We are talking about school stories, one of the best topics ever. Because it's got like that nostalgia, and it's got stories, just in general, stories, guys.
I'll tell you one thing that traumatized me was gum under the desk.
Ooh.
Like just running your hand against like 70 clubs of dry gum.
Yeah, because like it's not only just the initial, like if it was like fresh gum that's just been stuck under, like that's gross in its own because it's someone else's saliva. It's been in someone else's mouth, but like if it's been there for a while, I feel like it's got to have like accumulated a bunch of germs at that point, I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably pretty gross. Like, and it was like so like petrified on the bottom of there. It'd been happening for literal generations. You need like an archaeological expedition to take all that shit off the bottom of the desk. And it was always like the freaking classrooms at the back of the school that always had like the freaking gummed up desks, like the health classes and stuff. Middle school, I was like, why here? Why is this the target?
All right,
it's never in computer science.
We're getting too passionate about the gum under the desk stuff. We gotta go through the chat. Hold on. So let's see. Miss Shigo said, I was tiny and fast, so I think they saved me for last, to be honest. Had a weak arm, oof. Ooh, for dodgeball. Yeah. That sucks. Tabari says dodgeball was fun, usually one of the last ones out. We use those type of balls. I'm assuming you're talking about like the ones that we were talking about, the hard ones. Then my sister said hi. Miss Shigo says, what about those book fairs though?
Oh, the book fairs. I was always hyped.
Mm-hmm. And like they would always give you like that little it was like I don't remember, I think it was a booklet, not just a piece of paper, of like all the stuff that you could get at the book fair that was coming up, like before it even got there. And like you would take those home and you'd like circle a bunch of the stuff that you wanted. And then you'd go to your parents and be like, I want like all of these, all the stuff that I circled, can I have them? And your parents like, nah. Or like they'd say like, oh, just one. I'd be like, well, shit. Because like it was all so good. Yeah, for us it was called the Scholastic Book Fair. Was it the same for Americans?
Yeah, Scholastic Book Fair.
Okay.
Same thing. And same exact deal. Like they gave you the pamphlet, and you're like, "I want everything," and your
Yep.
and your parents, of course, know that you're full of shit. You don't want everything. You just don't know what you want. And so you're just like, they're like, narrow it down to like 2 or 3 things. We'll give you some money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. And then like sometimes I just walk through and not buy anything because I was like, I actually don't want anything. And other times I'd just like max out my budget and just grab like a whole bunch of stuff. I was very mercurial as a kid. I was like, sometimes I was like, I want a bunch of stuff, and other times like, no, I'm chill. But yeah, the book fairs were always fun because just like the act of like going through and like seeing all the options and stuff as a kid, you're like, wow, this is like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
The novelty of it was just cool.
Yeah. I remember specifically always wanting the there were like these books. My sister might know what they're called. I'm not really sure, but they were like, Michaela knows what I'm talking about. They were like fairy books. It was like Ruby the Red Fairy, that kind of thing. I don't know. I really liked those books. But I always wanted them, and I could never get them. My sister and I kind of, we grew up in kind of like a family that didn't really have any money. And, yeah, we just never, we would still circle things, and we'd want them, but we never really had them. Or got them. Yeah, Rainbow Magic, I think that's what it was called. The Rainbow Magic books, that's what I always wanted. Let's see. Mishiko says my parents were poor, so I got like nothing. Lol, so I spent so long in there looking at stuff. Yeah, same goes for me. That's exactly what I was just talking about too. That was like the worst because it was there. It was all there in front of you. You wanted it all, but you couldn't have anything just because your family was pretty much broke. Pumpkin Sky says I loved the book fair. I always wanted the science kits. I don't remember science kits. Maybe that's just me though. Tabari says I started my Animorphs collection because of the book fair. I remember the Animorphs books.
Oh yeah. When it comes to book fairs, I think there's only a few times where like my parents actually had enough money to give to me to get a couple things. Otherwise, I was mostly just the browsing kid as well. But I actually thought it was a lot of fun, and so I was just like, oh hell yeah.
Yeah, even if you didn't get them, you would just like look through them. Yeah.
That was sweet. In terms of books, though, I think. Let's see. I actually in 5th grade started reading a ton, and I read like books like Hatchet and My Side of the Mountain, like survival books. And I read this one mystery book. I'll never forget it, where the mystery was so like a big brain, and as a kid I understood it. And basically, it was like someone was like had this fishing contest where the fish was clearly smaller than this other guy's fish, but when they put it on the scale, it weighed like an absolute crap load, and that guy won. And so
was there like a fish inside of it?
No.
Oh.
And they checked inside of it and everything. They're like, no. There's nothing like in its stomach because I think they did check its stomach and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're like, like the judges thought it was a little weird, but they let it pass. And the mystery is kind of figured out in the middle of the book where like they put mercury in the fish's blood because the density of mercury is so high because it's a liquid metal that it made the fish weigh a lot more than it actually should have. I'm like, that is big brain because at first everybody in the book was like they made the fish swallow weights. But no, it was mercury. I was like, that is so big brain. But that was my reading, time as a kid. And I read like fiction books that were very down to earth, like the survival stuff. And then the first fantasy series I read was like Deltora Quest. I don't know if you read those books.
I have never. No.
Yeah, they were very interesting. I don't remember too much about them now, though, oddly enough. But I remember liking the books.
That's
Definitely
good.
was a book reader as I went to middle school, though.
Yeah.
Let's see. The other side of the other side of the mountain, not the rest of the series. I actually think I read the other side of the mountain too. I remember one scene where I think the main character is like tanning deer hides, and I think he realizes or someone tells him that he needs like a bunch more deer hides to make the outfit he wants or something. It was like more survival based.
Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, like the Guinness World Records, that was huge. 100%, that was huge in elementary school.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Like kids would get those books and like everybody would gather around.
Yeah.
It was like a whole thing.
And they'd be like, "Whoa, guys, this is like the biggest eraser in the world." That kind of thing. It's like, wow.
Yeah, I was addicted for a few years. My parents or one of my relatives actually got me. Like I ended up owning like 2 of those books, maybe even 3 of those Guinness books, and I was just like always look through them like, "Wowee." I'd flex, show it off at school. Like, look at this guy. He's called the Lizard Man. He's a forked tongue and like all these tattoos. Crazy.
Oh yeah. And like, oh, this guy tattooed his eyeballs. Like, yikes, but also cool.
Yikes. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, and then recess back in middle school. In middle school, playing Foursquare in middle school. Really, I never saw any of this. Basketball on a low rim, dunking on each other, tag, and boy vs. girl drama. Good times. I never had that in middle school. That was elementary school kind of stuff for me. In middle school, everybody, honestly, in my middle school, it was just kind of like everyone just walked around in groups. That's it. Nothing. There was like, I don't think we really had a playground at all or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our recess, by the time we hit middle school, recess was just like destroyed. Like 5th grade was like our last chance of recess. And then once we hit 6th grade and got into middle school, they were like, yeah, recess no longer exists for you. Have fun. And that's kind of how that went. But we didn't really regret it because we slowly got access to more computer crap in computer labs. And then in high school, you could even go to like, during free periods and stuff, you could go to the computer lab and other classes and just hang out on the computer. So it got more and more lax as you got older, which was sweet.
That's just reminding me of like, I remember, what was it like for you guys in like elementary and middle, or I guess high school too, I guess. Although high school is a little more recent, but in like the earlier school days, what was it like for you guys for like computer class, like your computer time in school? Because I remember loving computer time in elementary school. But in middle school, it was like just shit. I don't know. It like there was nothing really to do in middle school, honestly. And like they didn't make us do any of like learning how to type in elementary school, but they made us do that in middle school, and it was just really annoying because at that point I had already had my own way of typing, and they're like, "No, you can't do it that way. You've got to do it this way because this is how you type." It was just so annoying.
Oh yeah, in middle school they did that to me too. They're like, do like the typing thing, and I still type with 2 fingers, all like jankety, and I type way faster than a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
I like peck at the keyboard. They're like, you'll never get fast at that. I'm like, you
but
underestimate how stubborn I am.
But I am.
Exactly. But that was fun though, and especially you had to like play SimCity in middle school. That's what I got to do. Play SimCity 4.
What?
You got to play that like in a
No,
computer science
what?
class
Are you
sometimes.
serious?
Yeah, we got
that.
SimCity 4 sometimes, and everybody would just like build a crappy city and then immediately nuke it with like a meteor strike and all that. It was so funny.
Oh, you're not the only one. Look at that. Michiko says stuff like Flight Sim, GTA. Wait, GTA? In school?
You know, like GTA?
What?
Flight Sim? I didn't get that. That was literally only SimCity, like SimCity or nothing.
Yeah, some scary doctor game and Pikachu volleyball. I've never even heard of that. That's so cool. Wait, but GTA? Just that one's like, I'm like, what? Oh, wait, what? You had Dino Crisis? Why did you have Dino Crisis? That's a spooky game. What are you talking about? What?
Dino Crisis?
Are you guys? This isn't just. Are you guys talking about
whack.
in
It's
school
trolling.
or?
You had Dino Crisis in school? That's advanced. Let's see. Oh, Golden Guy 100. I didn't realize until now, but that's my cousin. Hey, cousin. I had typing class, and our teacher allowed the class to type up a yearbook without looking over it all. Needless to say, some very, very inappropriate stuff made into the yearbook that year. That's so funny. They didn't edit it, or they didn't proofread it as like the teachers. They were just like, no, the kids can write whatever they want in the yearbook. Like that can't possibly backfire.
We trust them. We trust our students.
We trust our middle school students and their integrity to not put a whole bunch of freaking 8 == D inserts and inappropriate jokes and memes in there. We're gonna believe in them. I
remember in elementary school for me, I had not Dino Crisis, but it was Dino Park Tycoon, and I specifically remember if you could like glitch your money out if you like entered a place and then exited and then entered again, and like if you kept doing that, you'd get like a lot of money out of it. I don't remember exactly what it was. Or like if you clicked something, I think it was either you went into a place over and over again or you clicked something. But yeah, we had Dino Park Tycoon, and we had like some underwater fishing, or not fishing, underwater like exploration little game where it teaches you about underwater creatures. And we had like some math thing too that I really liked early on, but I hate math now, so unfortunately that's not gonna stay a thing for me. I don't remember what it was called either. But
oh yeah.
Oh, did any of you guys get like in like the early stages as well? Did they like sell your parents discs to play certain games like at home. Like I remember getting discs for like Reader Rabbit and stuff, or like Let's Start Learning, that kind of thing, just to play on your own computer at home. But it was all for learning at home when you're not at school. No, I don't think it was Huda Math. Maybe I would have to look it up, but I don't really. I'm a little lazy for that.
Like Huda Math, we got that one. Also, at high school, we had coolmathgames.com was still not blocked, so we played fucking Bloons Tower Defense and like all these other games. We're like, oh hell yeah, brother! Like it was so funny. And like the freaking one where you like slice the wood blocks and like roll like the smiley face person into like different goalposts or whatever.
I guess I should say then, rest in pieces, Flash. Forever missed.
Yeah, the evolution of computers was seeing that growing up was insane because in elementary school they were like these primitive dinosaurs, so they took like 8 to 10 minutes to boot up. The teacher was like, "Be patient," and there's like one website to where like they teach us like basic like here's how to count by twos. It was like just like 2 web pages, and then like Google searches were like the most primitive, crusty thing, and like the most advanced thing we did was like PowerPoint. And I knew there was more to it because in elementary school my grandfather was like all into computers, so I had a computer at his house that I would just go on all the time. So I was really familiar with it. But it was like they were like the crustiest dinosaurs on the earth. Then we got into middle school. They got a little bit more advanced. They got the flat screen monitors and stuff, the LCDs. And we got only SimCity 4 there and whatever we could find on the internet that wasn't blocked. Because they had some very basic blocks on like super graphic stuff. Yeah. And by the time we got to high school, they had like blocks, but then also everybody learned how to get around the blocks. And then also we had certain like unblocked websites like Cool Math Games. And then on top of that, people would just download certain games. Like I downloaded like the original NetHack and like Elona and stuff, like free online games that like I knew wouldn't be blocked. Yeah. And I'd play those like roguelike games and stuff when I had like free periods and goof off on those. Because we had like our own profile where we could like actually download things and like it would retain our downloaded info on the network.
Yeah, yeah.
So like also, that was like a cool evolution to see.
I do want to say Pumpkin. I remember Freddy Fish, and the reason I remember Freddy Fish is because we had, my sister and I, we had Pajama Sam, and I'm pretty sure those two are like combined, or not combined, but like they're by the same creators or whatever, I think. And like I think Sly Fox is what it's called, something like that. There was like another little like purple car game as well, I think. I believe those are like the main 4. Pajama Sam was awesome. Yeah, Putt Putt. That was the little purple car. It was Putt Putt.
Let's see, Freddy Fish, Pajama Sam. Nope, I don't think I interacted with those characters.
It was so fun. I specifically had the Pajama Sam. It was you are what you eat from your head to your feet. I think that's what it's called. But I found it just awesome. It was one of those games where like you it was trying to teach you, eat your vegetables, like your vegetables are good and like don't eat too much like sweets and all that, that kind of thing. But it was really fun. Hi Cody. Welcome. Also, welcome to everybody else who's joined recently as well. We're talking about school stories. So like stories about, back in elementary school, middle school. You could do high school stuff too. I didn't go to high school because I was in homeschooling halfway into middle school, but I would love to still hear and talk about stories any of you guys have. Any good senior prank stories? All right, high school people, what you got?
Senior prank stories. Oh man, I'm trying to think. I'm really trying to think because there's some goofy stuff. I think people. I think people definitely they lubed the handrail on the stairs. That's when I think I remember that one. There was some internal conflict. People TPing each other's houses. I'm trying to remember like any like the big ones though. I don't think we had any super grandiose ones for my year that I remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure they did exist.
I do sometimes wonder if I did go to high school, would I get pranked? It makes me wonder, sometimes.
Oh no, most of the time the students are trying to prank the school.
Oh, okay. Oh, like yeah, not other students, but like the teachers and stuff.
Yeah, because like you're graduating like the next day, so you can just like troll them and leave. So that's like the senior prank is like they'll just like do some troll shit and then like leave, or they'll like troll like the week of.
The class above me, I live in a very country town, brought a shit ton of farm animals to school, and they shat everywhere, and it was a disaster. A lot of people literally rode their horses to school. Oh my god, Golden Guy. Holy crap.
I don't know if you told me about that one.
Oh, is that your cousin?
Yeah, it's my cousin. I don't know if you told me about that one. That's cousin. So funny.
I'm surprised they didn't do that around my city then. I guess I didn't go to high school, so I wouldn't know, but... see, there we go. Kaylee lives around me, and she said we filled the classroom with chickens, so maybe it did happen. Who knows?
Oh my god. See, the problem is everybody riding the horse to school, we're going to hitch the horses at. Do they have water?
But what did you do with them? Yeah, like, what did you do with the animals? Because, like, did you still take care of them, though? Like what did you do?
The farm animals came from somewhere. That's weird.
Oh my gosh.
That's a funny one, though. See, I'm trying to remember vaguely. I'm probably going to get some details of this wrong, but if memory serves me correctly, my mom's senior prank back in her era was, I think they they took a whole bunch of like furniture either from inside the school or like elsewhere or like both places and brought it all out on the lawn. Or something to that effect. Something ridiculous to that effect. Or like on a wide scale, you could not get away with the day without getting freaking arrested. Something whack. But it was definitely pretty funny.
That's the other thing too, right? Since it's like senior pranks, technically, yeah, you guys are almost out of school at that point, and it doesn't matter if you get like, you don't get in trouble really, because what are they gonna do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it would be kind of cruel anyway on their last bits.
Yeah, it'd be something pretty major if the school wanted to pursue you, but most of the time it's harmless stuff, or apparently farm animals don't cross the line. So, I mean, if you can get that far, you can do a lot of stuff.
Oh, but now I'm just realizing I feel so bad that they shat everywhere. Like, oh my god, the poor janitors. You guys. Oh,
that was torture. The janitors are always the coolest too.
I know. Oh my god, they're just there to clean you guys. That's so mean. I feel like I'm a boomer now. I'm just saying like, nah, don't do that, guys. Don't do your little pranks.
Yeah, in high
That's
school,
so irresponsible.
You're not mature in high school. You're like, fuck the janitor. You gain some empathy when you leave. A lot of people do, and they're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have filled the school with farm animals and shat everywhere.
Welcome back, Michaela. We're talking about how, apparently, for some senior pranks, they brought a bunch of farm animals into the school, and they all shat everywhere, and yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, now that would be on TikTok. They'd like do a little panoramic, and they'd be like, my class looked like Minecraft. Goddamn, chickens running around everywhere. Also,
welcome to anyone who's just joining us. Might not be the best story to go. Oh, maybe it is. Actually, it's pretty entertaining. But welcome to anyone who's just joining us, and thank you for the follows as well. I see that, Cody. I see that follow. Thank you. We're talking about school stories. So elementary school, middle school, high school, college, university, anything. Honestly, just talk about it. Talk about it. Maybe we'll have something to connect with you with. Or, you know what I'm saying. I'm terrible with words sometimes. Golden Guy says, the group under me, I heard, turned the running track into a literal racetrack. They opened the gate to the track and just zoomed their cars in there. Crazy stuff. Damn.
How'd they get away with that stuff? Oh my! I think it's because we had a police officer at our school half the time. I swear.
Did you really?
Yeah, like I think he was there at least in high school. He had his like own little office he'd go in and out of, but he'd be on the property a decent amount, probably like at least once or twice a week. He'd be like just chilling out. If you managed to run across him, he was like an actual police officer for the city, so you get arrested and do some crazy stuff. But
that's really interesting though.
If I remember correctly, it's been forever and ever.
Yeah, I've only seen that in like movies and TV shows where there's actually a cop that stays at your school.
Yeah, well, it wasn't 24/7. There's like certain times I think he'd either check in, and there's certain times where he would like stay for a little bit. But it wasn't. I don't think it was ever like day long. Like he's just sitting there doing nothing.
I feel like that would be kind of a not a bad job, but like I feel like that'd be kind of embarrassing for a cop to have for a job all the time.
Yeah,
I guess it depends on how much it pays too, though. So Because
I
then
imagine.
to his other cop friends, he could be like, well, hey, I get to stay at this school and just watch kids all day, and I get like this much.
Well, he get paid the same rate for like anything else, I'd imagine, just as normal pay. So it'd probably be just like the easiest money ever. Because like, what's going to happen in a school where like you're going to be required to act as a police officer? Like very, very, very few things.
Yeah.
So that was probably like certain like little like chunks of time he got like just like free money, and while just chilling out.
Tabari went to a charter for high school. Didn't have anything crazy happen. Damn. Charter schools.
So yeah, I think it's time for me to tell my ultimate high school story.
Yes, go
that
ahead.
I've been saving for like halfway
Oh,
through.
is it the choir one?
I don't have. No, well, this isn't a choir story. This is I was on quiz team for 4 years in high school. So what that means is basically me and a group of other like-minded nerds would just like answer random trivia questions and try to beat out other kids from other schools answering random trivia questions.
You were one of those kids? That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
On the quiz team. Yeah, so I was on the quiz team for 4 years, and like all the way from freshman to senior. And senior year, we were getting destroyed by this preppy school. I can't name names, I'm sure, but they were like a local preppy school known for being preppy, nearby us. And they just had like the most brainiac tryhards imaginable on their team. Like they just like freaking prayed to Einstein every night, got down on their hands and knees to be blessed by God for his divine knowledge. Because these kids were not human. They got like everything right. It was absolutely insane. They were like the best people we probably faced. And so they were like 30 questions ahead of us or something. They're ridiculous. I don't even know if we scored a point up until that point, honestly. Like we were getting destroyed. And we do our little group huddle as a team. And then one of my friends, I'll use a fake name. I'll say Alex. One of my friends, Alex, he leans in and he's like, all right, what are we going to do? I'm like, okay, let's see what the next question is. So the next question comes up and they're like, who made this priceless Chinese vase? And like they show us like a picture and give us like a little description of it. And everybody else leans in like, do you know? Fuck, we don't know. And so, Alex leans in and he's like, I'm going to guess. And so he's like, Yi? And the judge is like, what's the last name? And he's like, Ming? And he's like, that's correct.
What?
So we got from 0 points to 1 point. And we like flipped our fucking shit. We were like high-fiving each other, like cheering. Like, yeah. And our teacher supervising us, which is like that one cool science teacher I mentioned, the killer clowns from outer space dude. He was like embarrassed for us about how like childish we were acting over like just like scoring a single point while we were still getting like absolutely destroyed, but we didn't care. We thought it was the funniest thing ever. That was probably our best high school story because he just guessed that out of the blue. He's like, what's the last name? Ming, correct. And we immediately started cheering. And like the other school was like looked at us like, what's wrong with you?
Because it's a great fucking guess.
It is, because you have to be so exact with your guesses.
Yeah.
I was actually on another quiz team thing. My year one, I heard the answer to the question about like what's this painting called, and it was a rack of the Medusa. And then year three, junior year, I was just chilling out in quiz team, and I saw the same painting and the same question was asked, but I misremembered. Yeah. I was like, wreck of the Medusa, and they're like, no, sorry, it's a rack of the Medusa. We can't give that to you. Sorry. No
my gosh.
And I was like, no, please. Yeah, they're super exact, so you can't even be a little bit wrong like at all, or they're just like be like, no, you get nothing, no points. Sorry.
Yikes, that sucks.
Yeah, it does, but like that was the funniest thing before. Absolutely ridiculous.
What else can we go into? What I'm trying to think. Like, what else? What do we got? What do we got for more school stuff? Do you guys have anything that you remember from school that could possibly spark a long conversation? Although we're here for like another. Well, I usually go for 2 hours, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Maybe if we're on a good topic, we could continue a little bit longer. But Golden Guy, Pajama Day, Crazy Hat Day, any cool special days? Yes. Okay, thank you. Good topic. Pajama Day, yes, always the best. And I remember for some reason, whenever it was Pajama Day, it always happened to be kind of like, it wasn't a sunny day, you know what I mean? Like, it was always somewhat, not gloomy, but like, it was one of those gray days where the sky is gray. It was just, it was like the perfect day for Pajama Day. Hi Solstice! Welcome, and welcome to anyone else who is just joining us as well, and also thank you for the follows. Looking at you, Pumpkin Skies, you finally followed me, I see. We're talking about school stories right now.
So Pajama day, crazy hat day, cool special days. Okay, so we actually during high school only we had Spirit Week, and we had like those kind of days. I
Oh,
think maybe certain times, like individual instances in middle school, but for the most part, it was like high school. And then at the end of it, there'd always be these boring, overly long assemblies. And most of the time, my friends and I would skip them. You'd think the nerdy kids would like just grin and bear it, but at the
wait,
first
skip
couple
them.
assemblies, yeah, no, we just like
you'd
leave the
skip
building.
school?
Yeah, no, we'd stay for the entirety of school, but then at the end of the day, when they're like, come to the assembly for another 2 hours, we're like,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
we're,
no,
we're
no.
escaping.
Yeah,
And it became such an
exactly.
issue that they'd have teachers like guard the doors so people wouldn't leave. And I remember my friend and I like, got caught. We were just like walking out, and another teacher was like, her actual name was Karen, but she was like the
Oh my
nicest
god.
person. She
Oh,
was the nicest person ever. She was like the opposite of like the meme today. And she's like, "Oh no, let him go." And so we just walked out, like because this other teacher was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, you can't go. You have to go back." And she's like, Karen's like, "No, they can go. They're cool. They do the work. They're fine." And
they
so
cool.
we just
They
walked
cool.
out. We just walked out. So it was like our escape route for like the rest of the year for the assemblies. There was one assembly though I did not regret going to. And it was like this crazy BMX bike thing. I think it was my junior year, and they were like skipping and flipping and dipping. They set up ramps and like doing BMX tricks, and they jumped the principal. Like they're like
Oh
okay,
no.
okay, principal, come on, sit up on this fold-out chair right here. This is real secure. And they like freaking sped up in like a circle and like freaking went up on this ramp and just like freaking jumped and like did like freaking 360 while they flipped over him. It was insane. I
Oh,
was like, everybody was filming that. It was the coolest thing. Sadly, it was on my old phone, which died, so I don't have that
Yes.
footage anymore. But that was some crazy stuff. That was like a highlight for the assemblies. I'm glad I didn't skip this assembly.
Yeah, Michaela, I was gonna get into that just now. I was gonna say that reminds me of we had like the best principal for like the longest time in our elementary school. We went to 2 elementary schools, but the second elementary school was only for 1 grade, so like that was like right before middle school. But for our main elementary school, we had like the best principal. He would like there was like an egg toss day or something like that. I don't remember what exactly it was called, but like he would go like way up high above the school on a crane, and he'd be wearing a like I don't remember if this is like was he wearing a tutu on a different day or was he wearing a tutu while he was doing that? I don't remember, Michaela. But yeah, he wore a tutu and he also liked to toss eggs like down at everybody. And then he also I think he dressed up as a train one day as well. Like he was actually a really cool principal. And man, I was gonna say another story, kind of, well, not really a story, but he called my sister and I a certain thing, and our last name is very close to the name of the road and the name of the school, so it was like a little rhymey thing, but it was always really funny to hear. I don't want to like dox myself and my sister, so I'm not gonna say it, but Golden Guy says, "Oh, anyone remember elementary school gym class with the big rainbow parachute?" Yes. Automatically, yes, the big parachute. You bet. I think we called that, yeah, I think it was just called parachute. Honestly. Yeah, everyone loves it. You guys all agree. I know it.
Like that's a universal thing.
Yeah, if nobody says they, or if someone says they don't like it, they're lying.
Yeah, I think you're deprived of a childhood if you didn't have the rainbow parachute. I think that's how it goes.
They're a filthy liar.
It transcends all space time. Like it's here, it's in Canada, it's in the U.S., East Coast, West Coast. You can't escape the rainbow parachute. But it was a blast. Let's see. Oh, yeah, on the topic of principal stories, we had like one of the coolest principal stories. We had the coolest principals in high school. He's the one who got jumped on the BMX bike. He was like my principal for the first 3 years. I'm trying to remember who replaced him because eventually, the school board was like, "We don't like how you're not disciplining kids enough."
Oh no! Come on.
Yeah, like, "I don't like how you're lenient." And so they ended up. I think they made him resign. Is how it
that's
went.
so sad.
He was like the coolest, and he actually turned the school around by not being super draconian.
That's actually making me wonder if that's what happened to the principal I was talking about before as well. Because I remember he ended up leaving like a little bit before my sister and I went to the other elementary school in the end. But now I'm wondering. Yeah, I wonder if that's why he was not there anymore after. I can't remember if he just. I know it was told that he went to another school, but I feel like that might not be true. But Man, like, yeah, there was always the cool principals that you always remember, but then there's also the, shit ones that are mean and they don't let you do anything, and it's like, same with the vice principals too. Like, I remember there was this one vice principal in my middle school, and he was one of those ones where, like, I remember this must have been, like, around 2008, 2010-ish, something like that, but girls all around the school, when it started to get, like, into the hotter weather, started wearing short shorts. But they weren't even, like, short shorts that were too short. They were just regular short shorts. And I remember he just started getting mad at every girl that started wearing short shorts and saying, like, it's against the dress code, even though it wasn't. And it's like, just everybody just hated him.
Yeah, they were overly strict with the dress codes, and I feel like they had the good cop, bad cop going on with my principal and vice principal, because my principal was actually, like, the nicest character ever, and the vice principal was, like, definitely the more draconian of either of them, although he wasn't really, like, awful or anything like that. But if you stepped into his office, you were, like, basically screwed.
Aww.
Yeah, you were basically screwed if you actually got sent to the vice principal, or if he had to say something to you, because he was the bad cop for sure. Let's see. I had a topic in mind, but, like, I lost it as soon as I formulated it in my mind.
I feel
no,
it's because of me.
I don't think so. I forget what I was going to say.
It's okay. All right. So Pumpkin says, okay. Before you forget, okay. Sorry.
I remember because I think I was on for some reason I was on the topic of nicknames in school, and I was going to say in middle school, my middle school math teacher, 7th grade math teacher, he's like, all right. You have 2 G's, one in your first name, one in your last name. I'm going to call you G squared. And then he saw I ate a peanut butter sandwich every single day for lunch. He's like, "Do you ever get tired of that?" And I was like, "No, not at all." And so he's like, "Okay, I'm going to call you peanut butter instead." And he's like, "Wait, I'm going to call you peanut butter squared." And so that was my because he was a math teacher too. So that was my nickname in middle school, peanut butter squared.
That's cute, actually.
It was glorious. We had, like, a whole bunch of dumb nicknames for everybody. He gave everybody a dumb nickname, but he was a really awesome teacher.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume
silly
if they gave you nicknames like that.
Oh yeah, he was fun.
All right, so Pumpkin was saying, my principal always called me Pokemon Girl since I was obsessed in middle school. He happened to be my principal for middle and high school, and it was so embarrassing in high school. Aww. And then Golden Guy says, best versus worst school lunch. Ooh, okay, so that's the thing with me, right? My sister and I never bought anything at the school. Like, we had our own lunch that we brought from home ever since the very beginning. So I don't really have any stories for that. But if anyone else has school lunch stories, then, feel free.
I got one because in starting with high school, our community was so low income, they gave everybody, like, a waiver to get free lunches, so we all got free school lunch. Ooh. And so yeah, we waltzed in, we got the free school lunch. And so best and worst school lunches. All right, so in terms of, like, S tier, the one that everybody loved, even though you'd starve to death immediately after eating it because it wasn't basically enough food, was Bosco sticks, which they're like basically mozzarella sticks on crack, and they give you, like, this delicious marinara sauce, and you'd, like, eat like 3 of those things and still be hungry. And then, yeah, but, like, they were delicious. They were delicious. They were so good. Freaking underneath that A tier lunch was, like, the pizza on Fridays. Obviously, everybody went nuts for, like, the basic, kind of burnt half the time, freaking brick, rectangle pizza. Everybody loved that. And then I'm trying to think of, like, the worst lunch. I don't even remember them because some of them were so bad and traumatizing.
Yeah, you just blanked them out.
Yeah, I think one of the most mid lunches was, like, they popcorn chicken, but it was always disappointingly undercooked. That usually was just, like, the highlight of mediocrity when it came to school lunches for me. That was never fun.
Pumpkin says the worst was meatloaf for them.
Meatloaf, I think it was just in C tier because it wasn't impressive, but it wasn't awful. I don't think most people hated the meatloaf though. I don't remember any hated ones.
Tabari says cheese stuffed crust pizza was a must in middle school.
We never got anything that fancy. We got, like, the most basic freaking brick stuff ever most of the time. We never got the stuffed crust pizza. That's too luxurious for my people.
For your people.
Yes, for my people.
The square pizza is what we got too. Time. Yeah, that's what Pumpkin said. Yeah. I remember there were some times days where I wished I did get like the school food, because I think there were like ice cream days and like pizza days and stuff like that. And like I said, my family was quite poor, so we never, even if it was coming up, we never really even bothered to ask our parents if we could have like we didn't even know how much money was either, so because you always had to buy it.
Yeah, it was like becoming a systemic problem through middle school that most of the kids weren't eating lunch because they didn't have anything to bring home or like to school. And for me, like it was like this very similar stuff most of the time, because that was during the good old 2008 recession. So nobody was really doing too well. But that ended up with basically my entire generation of class getting free lunch all throughout all 4 years of high school. And I think that still persisted to this day. They've kept it up.
Katie.
So we got the free school.
Katie, she says, my mom was a lunch lady. I got free lunches for a time. Damn, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
That's so awesome. I'm so jealous. That's like, for some reason I was always jealous of like the girls who had like hairdressers as a mom, because like it came to like picture day and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, my mom did my hair for me. It's like, well, god damn it. Like my mom she would just cut my hair short, even though I hated short hair, and I still don't like short hair, but that's just an opinion of mine. But I always have my hair long, but like they always did their hair up so good, and it was always just because of their mom. Oh, actually, I have another thing that we could talk about, and it was lice checks. Did you guys have lice checks?
I think only in elementary school, and only if we had ongoing cases that we knew about, we'd have lice checks. But otherwise, no, not usually in most cases. I do remember we had certain eye and like hearing like checkups in elementary school, but they didn't do those in
eye
middle
and
high school.
hearing?
Yeah, we did that a couple times. I don't remember exactly why, but we did.
Man, that's some ASMR stuff.
No, they said you look at the poster and we're like, are these letters too small for you to read? And then they had like this weird audio test with these headphones.
That's so weird. We didn't get that. We just got, lice checks. And it was only in elementary school, not in like middle school or anything.
Yeah, for American healthcare being touted as so whack, and it is really that whack. It is really weird that we got like the random tests at school.
I wonder why they did that.
Yeah, I wonder why they did that. I don't know, because I think maybe like I actually had horrible grades in elementary school and had awful time catching up, and they eventually figured out. For some reason, the first couple eye tests didn't catch this, but I was freaking blind as hell.
Oh.
And so I actually, because without glasses, I literally could like not see anything like up on the board. And so like I slowly, all the way up through 6th grade, I didn't have glasses. Like even all the way from the start to the end of 6th grade in middle school, I didn't have glasses. So I was like just like kind of pegged as like an unruly kid, and like because on top of that I had ADHD, so it was all over the place and didn't focus.
Yeah.
But I also kind of tried to did my best like that I could to buckle down. And so, like, in 7th grade, when I got glasses, it's like, like when Neo in The Matrix, he finds out, like, he's in a simulation, and he gets, like, superpowers. Because, like, I had just started to get a grasp on how to, like, deal with being, like, freaking crippled. And then, like, all of a sudden, they're like, you can see now. And, like, I started taking extensive notes. And my grade point average in middle school shot up from, like, I think it was, like, 3.2. I still managed, like, a little bit of something. But then it shot up to, like, 4.0 consistently through, like, middle school. Because like I was like I can see, and I was so used to like being handicapped. now I was like, yes, I'm free. I had the Walmart glasses, the cheapest ones available, but they did the job. I could see, and it was glorious. So the vision tests kind of apparently sucked because they never caught it. I actually had to get a separate eye exam.
Yeah, that really sucks.
Had to confirm how blind I was, which was not fun, but.
Also, same for me, Katie. I think it was when I turned like 16 or something. That's when I actually got my first pair of glasses, I believe. But it was, because I started in school not being able to like see the board anymore. And like, I'm nearsighted, so like, if I was in a car and we were like coming up to maybe like stoplights and stuff, or an intersection, the lights would be like, not blurry, but like it would almost look like lights shining across. It's hard to describe, but whenever you feel like you're seeing everything in a different way, in like a weird, possibly bad way, always definitely go check get your check or your eyes checked.
Yeah, I never realized how bad my vision was until, I actually got glasses, and then I realized precisely how terrible it was. Because, I'm like, I must be just kind of dumb. Like, through elementary school, I kind of figured out. I was like, I must be just kind of dumb, because I just barely didn't get into, the honors classes in elementary school and stuff, and, the gifted program and all that. I barely didn't beat the cut because I couldn't see anything, and I didn't realize that. So I'm like, I think I'm special. But then the one thing I could do, which is read, I excelled at, because it's I just read books nonstop, 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th grade. And so I eventually got to a really high reading level and became brainiac tier reading person. But it took me getting glasses to get caught up in every other subject.
Also, Golden, that gives me a whole other story. First though, I do want to say, welcome to everyone who is just joining us recently. I know there's a lot of other streams that are also very interesting going on, so it's I don't want to say we're competing, but let's compete. No, I'm kidding. But so yeah, welcome to everybody that's just joining. And thank you for the follows. Right now we're talking about school stories. So welcome. Elementary, middle, high school, that kind of thing. Nostalgia. So yeah, the whole story with the recorder thing. Yeah, my sister and I, the elementary school we were mainly in ever since we were really little. I don't know why I said it like that. We're not still in it. Yeah, we played recorder all the way up into grade 5. And yes, hot crust buns. That's the thing. My sister has an actual whole other story about hot crust buns in general. I'll tell that one in a second. But and then, so what happened was the reason we were in a different elementary school for grade 6, it was just one grade before middle school, is because we moved, and my parents told me a lie that, because we moved, we have to go to a school that's closer to us because it's illegal not to. Even though it was the other school that we went to from day one was right down the road anyway. But anyway, so that's a whole thing. But yeah, so the second school that we went to in elementary school, just for the one grade, suddenly we were just thrown into, everybody's learning guitar. And it was the worst shit. If you're learning, just from the very beginning at a level that everybody's they were still teaching everyone as if they had known for years how to play guitar because they were teaching it from the beginning in that school. Whereas in other schools it was just recorder. I was like, it's just so bad. But yeah, hot crust buns. Let's go with that story. Michaela, you let me know if I'm not telling it correctly. But my sister, she had a kid in her class named Kaneko. And he was one of those kids that, he was a troll. He was a clown. He was a troll. He wanted everybody to laugh all the time, and he was always getting in trouble because of it. But he was, they were all playing their recorder one time, and they were doing hot crust buns. And I remember she told me he had he got his recorder taken away from him. He wasn't allowed to because he was messing it up and just being a troll and all that stuff. So he had to sit there while everyone else was playing. Michaela, let me know if that's wrong. So while everyone else was playing hot crust buns, I believe he started doing little dances and gestures to the hot crust bun song. Yeah, he was right next to her, and he started for hot crust buns, he would put his hands on where a girl's breasts would be, and he would cross them and dance with it and stuff, and it made her laugh so hard that she did the ooh sound with the recorder. It just completely yeah, you know what happens when you laugh when you're using a recorder. and then the teacher was like, who did that? And nobody said anything.
That's loyalty right there when you don't rat each other out. Now these days it'd be twerking hot cross buns, just the same story but retold in a modern way.
See, man, if I had a camera, I could have showed you guys what he did, but I feel that'd be kind of weird anyway.
That sounds beautiful.
Sorry, you can continue with what you were saying.
I was just saying, we were tortured into learning hot cross buns as well, and like the recorder. It doesn't matter if you're a choir kid or a band kid. This was like a separate middle school music class that, like, if you had to get like some music credits, you had to go to this freaking crap, and you go in there, and they'd be like, "Today's the day you're learning the recorder," and they'd hand you like the recorder, and we stuck with that thing for like I think 3 or 4 weeks. They're like, "Play hot cross buns faster."
Oh my gosh.
That was like the whole experience.
Did anyone?
And then,
oh, sorry. I thought you were done for a second. Yeah, Michaela, I was going to go into that next. Sorry. Continue, Gail.
I'll summarize, but basically, we were slaving away at that and just watched like different like movies and stuff on like musical figures like Johnny Cash and whatever. Like it was just chill stuff. And then we did not have a single string instrument in our band, and also with no classes to learn it. I would have like freaking killed back then to like learn guitar. Even if I would have hated it, I would have still like liked to have learned it. I think I would have hyper focused on that crap. I would have been like, this is like an instrument I care about. It's not the recorder. I would love that.
Gosh. Yeah, so going into what my sister's talking about in the chat, boom whackers. Did anyone have boom whackers? Does anyone actually know what those are? I'm just curious. Because there's a lot of people that I've talked to in the past. Whenever I bring up boom whackers, nobody knows what they are. And then, like, or they don't know what it is by the name, I find, usually. But, like, when I show them a picture, that's when they know what it is. If I was using Streamlabs, I would show you guys, but I'm not, and I don't think the thing that I'm using will let me, but if you look up boom whackers on Google, maybe it's familiar to you. I would totally recommend looking it up just to see. Like, because I remember whenever we brought out the boom whackers, it was always like the best. Like they'd have them laid out for us right before we even came into the class. So like everyone would walk in and it'd be like, yes, immediately.
Oh, I just looked them up, and I know I recognize them, and I think we got them like a grand total of like once.
It's
and
like,
then, like never again.
They're like these different colored tubes, and they have different lengths, and they have different colors, and each of them, with their different lengths and colors, make a different tune or like a different sound. Or how do I explain? Like some of them are deeper or lower, and some of them are higher, if that makes sense. Depending on how long and yeah. I think they were just differently colored just to differentiate, but the lengths well, like I said, I'm not using Streamlabs or anything. I think the thing that I'm using won't let me show you guys, but if you look up boomwhackers on Google, it should show you what they are.
Can I post links in the chat? Can I just get like a random Google?
Yeah. Go ahead. See if you can send them a link. Actually, during this time, let's take a little. Whoa, okay, that's a
never mind.
Big link. That's a big link, Gil.
I thought it was a real link, but no, it's not. It's just like stored data. That's not even a real link.
Oh
Hold
my
on.
gosh! Yeah,
Because I want to just do like a view image and send the link, but that's not being
here.
posted.
I'll. Hold on.
That ain't being hosted.
Oh
right. This one
no!
is.
How do I remove it? I'm new to Twitch.
I think this is an actual. I think this is an actual link.
Oh, let me check.
That's an actual link.
Let me see if it is. Oh, yes, it is. Yep, there they are. Different colors, different lengths. Yeah, Gail's trying to scam us all with that long link. That isn't even really a link.
Click my link for free RuneScape GP 20 mil, no scam. But no, it's just a freaking JPEG file. But that's what the boomwhackers are, because I didn't know what they were called, but I knew what they looked like, and I'm like, oh yeah, we got you just freaking whacked them on our bodies.
Yep, exactly.
Lightsaber.
Yep,
lightsaber around. Yeah, I remember.
And you can like whack them together too.
Yeah, he freaking clapped them. Yeah, I do remember that. We got
them
like, literally. Yeah, we literally got them one time, I think, and that's why I didn't remember them. Like, I'd like search like my memory. I had to like scry into the beyond to remember that. I actually, it took effort.
Tamara, press and hold on phone. On phone? What are you talking about? I have no idea what my sister is talking about right now. On the message? Huh? On the... What phone? Is there a phone? I don't see a phone. I probably see something completely different. Oh, I'm not even in mod view. That's probably what it is. It doesn't matter. It'll be. Oh
I'm
no,
in
no,
Modgy.
I'm
I
not.
can't even believe I said.
No, I only use my
Okay.
phone. I only use my phone to see the chat when I'm playing Phasmophobia. Other than that, because Mabinogi's not. It's not full screen, so I don't need to. Haha. I can see the chat better when I'm playing Mabinogi, which I understand. I'm not playing Mabinogi, as people would say. I'm just talking with you guys. Come on. Show a little love to the school stories that we have, and tell us your stories as well. Also, I do want to say as well, I should probably link it to you guys, but I'm gonna give you guys a temporary one, but I'm gonna show you a temporary invite to my Discord. I don't feel like going to get the actual one. That's my Discord. If anyone wants to join, I'll give you a role if you're not in.
Let's see. Golden Guy, my dearest cousin, says, I always hated art shows. I always got a participation ribbon along with all the other students who didn't get first, second, or third place. I hated them too. They were always like, here, children, you're going to make some pottery, and we're just going to show it to everyone after you're done. We're just going to show it to everybody. It's like, I don't consent. No, like, no, this is your grade. We're showing it to everybody, and then you know you're terrible at art, and you're just like you're like I have like the one artistically talented kid who like makes like this thing that like looks like it was crafted by a freaking artisan, and like your piece of like freaking like dog shit's like laying next to like, his beautiful priceless work of art. And the teacher looks at it. It's like you get a gold star, and they give him the first place ribbon.
I don't think I ever had art shows in my schools.
It was never like it was basically just between the art classes. Like once you like did your art classes stuff, sometimes it'd be for a grade that they would just like kind of like internally compete with like your art. I don't know if it was ever like you never won anything. It was just like a self-esteem boosting thing for the artistically talented kids.
Also, I do want to say to Tabari, participation trophies were a mistake on society. I agree, because I feel like that's a thing that, like, Karens decided they wanted to go and complain about to the school. Like, my kid didn't come in first, second, or third. You should at least give it some prize. Like, just to not feel left out. It's like, get good. Get good, kid.
Exactly. I like whatever.
You're taking the reward away from the people who actually got first, second, or third.
Exactly, and whenever you get like a participation award as a kid, like, even as a kid, I realized like this is like a scam. This is not worth anything. This is worthless. Don't freaking try to placate me. Don't talk to down with me with this freaking participation crap. I know it's not worth anything. It still damages my self-esteem just as much. I know I lost. It's fine, but it was always one of those things too that it was never serious though either. And everybody kind of knew that. It's like, oh yeah, the art competitions, it was never serious. People didn't really they were cutthroat about it. It's just like we have to do it for a grade anyway, so we might as well, let the teacher have their fun grading our pieces, and we'll see who's the most talented one of us.
Pumpkin says I was the artist kid. Lol, my high school art teacher hated me though. I was all about digital, and she was only traditional. Yikes! Ooh, that's so yikes.
Our art teachers are like they're always so strict about like one aspect. I find there's very like for being a more liberal art, some art teachers are just like so inflexible to change because they're like, if you draw anime art, that's not real art. If you're drawing anime art, they're like, oh, you're drawing on a digital tablet, that ain't real art. If you're drawing on a digital tablet, like they're always so strict about it, and it's like, no, shut up. Just like you don't. Why are you saying only my art is right and this art is wrong when it's just a different medium that you should learn to appreciate? Just like art school, how they taught you like how
Look,
oil on canvas is one medium.
That's exactly what you just said. Pumpkin said she hated anime.
Yeah. Like most art teachers, they're like, anime's garbage. It's like a different style. Have you ever seen a painting by Salvador Dali? When he taught us about him, you're like, oh, it was a revolutionary thing, painting these melted clocks and stuff. It was revolutionary for its time. What was it called? I'm drawing a blank on like the style of art that he did. It was I could probably look it up. It's not impressionist. It's like he did like basically distorted and nonsensical. I'm drawing a blank. It's on the tip of my tongue. But basically, he did like non-traditional art that basically it was completely nonsensical and unorthodox and made absolutely no sense. And yet, like the teachers would like praise that, but then it's like you draw something anime style, and they're like, "No way, that's not art. That's garbage. That's garbage." It's like you're telling me like these people drawing like this abstract stuff and painting this abstract stuff. This is okay, but the anime stuff's not. That's just weird. That's just a personal bias.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
that was always
sister,
weird.
my sister just said. I remember ours was like, "Oh, yours is nice, but we want you to draw this. We wanted you to draw this." Yeah, exactly. And it'd be like this normal, just regular, like, just regular stuff, like oh, trees and flowers and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, that's what we want you to draw. We don't want you to draw, like in your own way. We want you to draw in our way, and only our way.
Yeah,
And it's like
that was
that's the whole thing about art too, is that it's your own little freedom, right? I'm pretty sure, like, that you do your own art your own way, right? It's your own freedom, and so by them
Yeah.
doing that, it's like it's just completely not art. Then why would the art teacher be like that? You know, like,
Yeah, but all of them were, like, a lot of them were anyway. It was so
Yeah.
weird.
yeah, that
And then,
sucks.
let's see. Golden Guy. In ceramics, there's a black market of extra clay. One student was a pimp who collected it all, and he ended up making a giant realistic wiener and stuck it in the kiln. That's
I
awesome.
didn't even read that.
Yeah, there's always the clay black market because kids want to make bigger and better stuff. There was the black market for sure. They're trading under the table like, you want some, bro? Good stuff. It's just clay.
Oh my gosh. I had a random thought. I was just thinking of the clay, and then for some reason I went to thinking about erasers. Did anyone do, like, the little games with their eraser where they wrote yes on one side and no on one side, and they'd, like, flip it to do, like, yes and no questions, like, does this person like me? And whatever it flipped to, yes or no would be the answer, that kind of thing. Or any other games that's similar to that, not even just with erasers. I know there's, like, that magic little thing, the paper thing with your hands that you can do.
Yeah, I think the only ones that I remember, and it was mostly, female students doing it, because like a lot of the guys, they didn't do a lot of like the paper, like the paper
Yeah.
thing, or like the dating, like stuff,
Yeah.
like games and stuff.
Also,
But we'd always get
Oh, change positions. Go ahead, sorry.
no problem. But we'd always get roped into it though. They'd be like, they do like, they had like the little paper hand thing, and they'd like be like, pick a number, and they'd like shuffle it so many times. They'd be like, flip this one side, and this is your fate for the rest of your life, or something like that. So there was definitely that kind of stuff, and we participated in that. And I think during middle school that was still going on, and then like throughout middle school those things died off. But then certain subsets of us nerdy people, we'd get more into reading or role playing stuff. So it's same kind of difference, and like different aspects of that. Yeah, the fortune tellers. That's what they're called, the fortune tellers. Yeah. Those were a thing. Those were very popular.
I feel like that's what made them. That's what made those companies make like the Magic 8 balls and stuff like that. I feel like that's definitely got to be like the inspiration or something. Something like that.
Yeah, kids goofing off had to have been that in part. Magic 8 ball. There were definitely a few of those in middle school. People were like, ask it. It is the herald of wisdom. Ask the Magic 8 ball. And that was always goofy. And I did remember as a side note that Salvador Dali, it was surrealism. I don't know why I couldn't think of that, but like surrealist art. Teachers would praise surrealist art, and then it'd be like, but your anime is not realistic enough. But the persistence of memory by Salvador Dali with the melting watches, now that's real art. The melting clocks speak to me on a spiritual level. That kind of thing.
Speak to me. Oh my gosh.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Golden Guy. Let's see. You remind me when you brought up erasers. What the hell was the obsession of the pencil grip things? Oh, like those gel pencil grips. That was like a fad.
Yeah. And they had like different ones. They had like different styles. I remember my sister and I actually had one that was like Hamtaro themed. I don't remember if it was Hamtaro or Bijou, but we had one. And I don't think we ever put it on a pencil. It was just kind of, we used it as like a little toy. So
yeah, I mean, there's always those like fad type things. Like kids were like would live and die by like those like eraser caps you put on the end of your wooden pencils, and those gel grips. And in elementary school, I don't know if you ever witnessed kids doing this, but you know how you like the big plastic pencil cases that can also hold crayons, like those plastic kids pencil cases. Well, I don't know if anybody in elementary school use those like big like clamshell pencil case things, but kids would like legitimately, they'd have like little animal shaped erasers and stuff. In my class, they make them into like little terrariums, like they draw like little bushes and like trees and stuff, and make it like a little terrarium for like the eraser animals.
That's so cute. I don't know. I like that.
It was cute, and I was jelly. I was like, that is so cool.
Aww. Oh, sorry, I just remembered something. What about Tamagotchis? Did kids all over have Tamagotchis? And like, oh, here we go. We go into like Tamagotchis, Pokemon cards, like all that shit. And like we can go. We can also go into like, what about all the kids that played like Neopets, or RuneScape, that kind of thing. I remember my sister and I actually watch us. You guys don't know who we are, RuneScape. You don't know what our accounts are, but we hacked our friend's account when we were little.
Correct.
It was we gave it back after. But it was funny. No, we hacked it just to show, because like this kid was bragging about how their password was so good, and we were like, oh yeah, you bet. Okay, what's your username? We're gonna guess your password later. And like we actually ended up getting in, because like they had named their password like, I think it was like their name 123, or like the city name 123 or something like that, and like we got in like really easily, and then like the next morning we're like, yeah, so where's all your stuff in RuneScape? And they're like, I don't know, I got hacked last night. I was like, yeah, that was us. So yeah, change your password. Like gave their stuff back.
That's so goofy though. Like, I mean, it's cool in a way that you're just like trolling them. That's awesome.
But yeah, the Tamagotchi stuff and all that.
Yeah, I was I didn't have the bougie parents that bought me the Tamagotchi. I just got to suffer with that one as kids play with theirs. But what I did get were Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and what I didn't understand was how they got so popular when none of us knew how to play the damn game. Not a single one of us knew how to play Yu-Gi-Oh properly. I didn't even learn how to play Yu-Gi-Oh properly till I was in middle school, and by then it wasn't popular anymore. But yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh was way bigger than Pokemon back then. You go to McDonald's and in a Happy Meal you get Yu-Gi-Oh cards. You'd walk into Kroger. Or like a grocery store, there'd be like those starter decks, like the first thing you walk in, and like the big ass racks. Yeah, there'd be starter decks just laying out there in booster packs and stuff. Like, it was huge for a while. I remember that even in my local area, they had like VHS tapes sent out with like an ad, and it would be like have like Pegasus sitting there, and he'd be like, "Let me tell you about Duel Monsters, Yu-Gi-Oh!" And it was just like this animated thing with like one of the main antagonists. He's like talking about like, this is what Yu-Gi-Oh cards are. It was like this free VHS tape, ad thing they sent to like a lot of different houses. So that was like a huge thing back then, though. Like,
Katie says we all collected the cards, but literally had no fucking clue how to play. We just collected them to look at them.
Yeah, exactly. And the worst part is that after learning Yu-Gi-Oh, it's gotten more complicated over time as they've added new rules. But like, it actually is not that complicated, which is the sad thing. It's just like, but the thing is that people were trying to base it off of the anime show, and that show did not use the rules at all. Like, it didn't even use the rules a little bit. Like, they just fucking attacked each other.
It's like similar to Pokemon then in that way.
Yes, like Pokemon, like the show will not teach you how to play the game or the card game, like at all. Like, they just like spam their moves. Like, the timing is whatever the story dictates, and like that's about it. It was the same thing. Like, so in Yu-Gi-Oh, like they wouldn't even use their actual rules. Like 70% of the time, they would. Some of the cards just flat out had different effects in the anime when compared to like the actual card game when they were printed. Like, it was just whack. Like, it was just really whack. So, like, if we were just, like, watching the show, and we were like, that's how you play, with pure randomness, and no regard for the rules. And so, we did not know how to play, even though we thought we did. We did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not a tough game either, at least not back then, but now it's gotten overcomplicated.
Oh, gosh.
But yeah, the Tamagotchi, and that brings back memories, and see, Pokemon cards are the underdog then. Now they're like actually back on top because Yu-Gi-Oh has fallen out of style. Yep. They're way back on top. My younger siblings, they're like all over the Pokemon cards. Yep. But they for a little while, like they were like, no, you scrape stuff off your shoes with the Pokemon cards. The Yu-Gi-Oh cards are where it's at. Now it's the exact opposite. Boy.
Yep, everything's just, it comes and it goes. That's the thing. It's just trends in general, I guess, yeah. What else can we talk about? We didn't touch more onto, like, the stories from, like, like, Pajama Day and all that. We kind of just talked about Pajama Day and then Spirit Day, and that was it. There's also, like, obviously Halloween. Halloween was great in school. You just go in your costume. I remember getting made fun of, though, in middle school for dressing up as a witch, and I actually did, like, the green skin and all that. Like, I dressed up as not, like, one of those, like, sexy witches or anything like that. I actually dressed up as, like, an ugly, evil witch, and I was the only one who did that, so I got made fun of for it. But I love Halloween.
Weird. Yeah, Halloween, it's probably one of my favorite holidays, but the thing about that is with school is like we never once got to go in with our costumes. The only time you could go in with your costume was basically during like prom or dances that coincided with Halloween itself.
Really?
Otherwise you would not. If you walked in with a costume, they just send you right back home.
What?
Yeah. My school had a uniform, and so like they were strict about the dress code.
Okay.
And very rarely, except for Spirit Week, did we ever like deviate from it at all. And they got less and less strict to the point where, like, freshman year, if you walked in with a pair of like sweatpants or like off-color shoes with even like a little bit of color off of off,
Yeah.
like what they wanted,
They'd
they just
send you home?
it'd send you right home. And then by the time it hit senior year, people come in like in sweatpants and stuff, and nobody gave a crap anymore.
Wow.
And like miscolored shoes, and like they wouldn't wear a belt when you're supposed to wear a belt. Like slacks.
I didn't go to a school that had like a dress code, so it's like that's interesting to hear.
Yeah, they instated the dress code in middle school and high school. Like the start of middle school, they started doing the dress code because I think there was a disparity because like the income disparity in my community was like so varied and usually overall like low. People would wear like cheaper clothes, thrift shop clothes, or like clothes that were like out of style, and other kids would make fun of them for it. And so to alleviate that, and to keep kids from being at each other for what they were wearing, they instated those dress codes, and they've remained in place to some extent since, but like they've relaxed just progressively more and more and more and more over the years.
Yeah. Welcome back, by the way, to my own sister, my sister dear.
Welcome.
Also, welcome to anyone that's just joining us recently, and thank you for the follow. We are talking about school stories, although it depends on what you guys want. We can stay for like another half hour, or we can end it at the normal time in like 10 minutes. It's up to you guys. If you're enjoying the conversation, let me know, and we can stay for like another half hour, but...
Yeah, this is like a gladiatorial arena. The crowd decides our fate, okay? Let's see. We had the dress code in middle school, pumpkin skies, and transparent backpacks only. We didn't have the transparent backpacks only. We actually, if you had any additional bags, like drawstring bags, it did have to be transparent. But if it was just your backpack,
transparent.
It was allowed to be solid colors or just solid materials, like opaque. That was fine. But it had to be, if we had drawstring bags or any extra bags, it had to be transparent. At least after middle school, like during high school.
Huh. That's interesting. Huh. Yeah, just I've never heard of any of that kind of stuff. That's so interesting.
Yeah, where schools are concerned with violence is when they start trying to herald the transparent
yeah, I
bags
see that.
and
Pumpkin
backpacks.
just said that. Yeah.
Yeah, especially in the U.S. and stuff like that, because guns and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it would be different between Canada and the U.S. as well, possibly. Miss Shigo says we had metal detectors. That's sad. That's honestly so sad.
Yeah, we didn't have metal detectors, but I'm sure inner city schools probably did.
Like, I understand it now, especially nowadays. Like, for some reason, people are deciding, oh, let's go into a school and shoot all the kids that have their hopes and dreams. And, like, God, can you not? Can you, like, not? But, so I understand it's just for the, protection, which is great. Kids do need protection. But yeah, it's just kind of sad, you know?
Honestly, when it came to violence, it was mostly kids against other kids. It was mostly troubled kids against other kids. Yeah. And so that's where a lot of the friction came from. And we had all kinds of incidents and close calls. I don't think anybody ever brought a gun to school. But there's bomb threats and things like that where schools called off or delayed. And I think people found drugs at school a couple times, things like that.
Yeah, I remember staying home one day because there was a bomb threat and stuff. I remember that was a huge thing too. Like there would be like, I know it was like a couple days before all the time too. There would be like writing on the wall, like the outside wall of the school that would be like someone wrote like, oh, we've set a bomb on your school, that kind of thing. And all the kids would go around to that like during break, and they'd be like, whoa, like, guys, there's like a bomb around the school, and everyone would try looking for it, and which is really stupid. But yeah, then like a couple days later, then usually we had to stay home because bomb threats and shit. But Katie says kids at my school were so privileged that they would call in bomb threats when they didn't want to take a test. Wow, that's just messed up. Either get good or yeah, just honestly learn to take a test. Learn to get good with what you're supposed to be learning in school. Oh gosh, like take the extra time. Get a tutor, like hire a tutor for yourself. Honestly, I'm sorry. I feel like I sound kind of mean with how I'm saying this right now. But really, in school, like I know it's so uncool for people to be like, oh yeah, you remember to go study and do your homework and get good grades, stuff like that. You just want to chill out and have fun with your life. I know, but in the end, education really does matter.
Oh yeah.
And as much as the more work you do at the start, the easier it is for your adult life. And that's just the way it is, I feel like. But I know that some people have like complicated lives as well, so I understand as well if you're stressed out or that kind of thing. Which, by the way, if you're really stressed out, if you're depressed or anything, please go get help. It's always the best thing to do because you're not alone.
Yeah, I like how you call the bomb threats uncool, because that sounds like what exactly you try to say to like high school age kids. Like, that's uncool. You want to threaten to set off a bomb and dismember all of your classmates? That's pretty lame of you.
Jesus.
But no, it was always like personal disputes, and it was always BS. There was never actually a bomb, but like there was always kids at other kids, and they always called in the bomb threats, and that's why. I don't know if it was ever because of tests. Tests is like the pettiest thing imaginable. And I agree with CapCat. Yeah, don't call them bomb threats. It's just a fucking fail. Bomb threat is over the top, to quote. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's true.
Honestly,
it's true. Do not do that.
Why don't you like call in and just say like, hey, I'm having a hard time with this. Is it okay if I could have some extra time to like get this knowledge into my head, you know? And then maybe I'll take the test a couple days later. Usually that's actually 100% okay with school. With teachers.
Yeah, you ask first, and if that doesn't work, then you bomb the school.
Yes, then you... Oh, gosh.
Joking.
Yeah, just ask for help, which is... But I don't want to say, yeah, almost 100% of the time, but not 100% of the time, because I remember actually there were times where I would ask for help in school, and I didn't get the help that I needed. Like, they'd be like, oh, well, I think I was talking about this the other night with Ben, my boyfriend. But we were talking about how, like, you would go up to a teacher, you'd ask for help, and like, maybe they just went over everything on like, in front of the class on the board. And, like, they had things written down on the board. They'd be like, well, I just told you. Go look at the board. It's like, well, that's not... That's why I came to you. Like, I don't understand. like, can you help me?
It's like, can you elaborate? Yeah, I had to do that a few times. Like, what exactly do you mean by what's on the board there? Like, it's what's on the board. I'm like,
it's like,
yeah,
well, but yeah, well, fucking just help me. How about that?
Explain.
Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, there were just some teachers that were like that, and they shouldn't have been teachers. 'Cause that's the thing. Like, if you're a good teacher, you can't be one of those people that, like, oh, every now and then you have an off day, maybe you don't feel like helping kids. Like, that's what you're there for then. If you're not gonna be in the right mindset for that, like, a lot of the time, you can't be a teacher, honestly. You just can't. Be a substitute teacher in that case.
They want that teacher money. They want the teacher, benefits so they get the summers off. They gotta get that, and then they have to be awful teachers. I had this teacher in middle school. It was my geometry teacher. She was the most awful teacher I've ever had. She literally managed to talk for 45 minutes and not teach anything. It was actually so astounding how bad the class was doing. I'm surprised she did not get fired sooner, but she did get fired. And one of the most talented kids in my entire grade, who I went through all the way up to senior year with and graduated with. I think this was in the middle of middle school or late middle school when I had this geometry teacher. And I had to retake every single test in her class, and everybody struggled, including this kid who went on to get perfect scores on the ACT and SAT and was a literal freaking genius coming out of the womb, freaking solving the fundamental laws of calculus itself.
Favoritism.
No, it wasn't favoritism, because he got failed out too because she didn't teach well.
Oh, okay. I got
no, he suffered. Yeah. He suffered. Everybody in the class suffered, including him, because she didn't teach.
Wow, so that's really messed up.
Yeah, I had to Google everything after class to learn what she was trying to say. And this is back when like not everything was on YouTube, so I like read different articles and stuff and find it on random websites. And then I had to go in the next day after school and spend like an extra 40 minutes to retake the test.
Sorry, for Pumpkin. Pumpkin just said, my 5th grade teacher was the absolute worst. I jumped out of a swing and broke my arm, and she wouldn't let me go to the nurse. My mom almost sued the school. Your mom should have sued the school.
Yeah, absolutely. That's ridiculous.
Honestly? Yeah, if that teacher there didn't even let you go to the nurse, that gives me, like, vibe. It's obviously not on the same level, but it gives me vibes of, like, I remember I went to school and I was pretty sick that day. Like, I didn't know I was sick until I actually went to the school, but, like, I remember constantly having to ask to go to the bathroom because I had to keep going to throw up. And, like, I remember even throwing up in the grass somewhere during recess. But, like, after recess, we had, between recess and lunch, this is elementary school, so between recess and lunch was music class. And we had just gotten recently a new music teacher, and she was like very 50-50. Like, some days she was good and some days she wasn't. And I guess this was one of her bad days, but, like, I remember just going into the class and we were about to sing, and I asked her, like, I started feeling sick again, like I was going to throw up, and I asked her, could I go to the bathroom? And she's like, no, we just had recess. You should have gone then. And, like, then I ended up, like, 5 seconds later throwing up on another girl's shoes when we were singing. And then I had to go home. But, like, you fucking didn't listen to me. When a kid says they have to go to the bathroom, you let them go to the bathroom. It's not like, oh, I'm just trying to get out of class. Especially not in elementary school. Come on. You can stop. It doesn't matter if they are trying to get out of class. Honestly, just let them go anyway. That's their own problem in the end, if they're going to get out of class like that. But it's better to trust that the kid actually has to go to the bathroom than to just be like, no, you can't go. Especially, like, yeah, right after recess. Like, maybe, what if the school bathrooms were, like, full at the time? Maybe they did try to go during recess and they just couldn't go because maybe it was full, right? Like, they didn't get the chance. Maybe now's the right time. Mm-hmm. But, like, fuck, I hated teachers that didn't let you go to the bathroom when you asked. It's like, really? Also, welcome to everybody that's just joining. Sorry. It kind of sounds like ranting at the very start, but, like, oh, it's so annoying. You know, teachers. But yeah, welcome. Thank you for the follows. And we are talking about school stories. So elementary, middle, high school, just stories in general. Could be also college and university. Who knows? But
welcome, y'all.
Any stories you guys got, we can talk about them. I know we're going over the 2-hour mark. We're gonna stay for another half hour, so might as well, because we're having a good time talking.
It's very nice. Oh yeah, on the topic of teachers not listening when they say they have to go to the bathroom, the one thing that teachers always did, and this persisted throughout middle and high school, is whenever you asked a teacher after lunch you had to go to the bathroom, they're like, no, you should have went during lunchtime. It's like, I didn't have to go during lunchtime, because if I had to go during lunchtime, I'd have went during lunchtime.
Exactly.
But now I have to go because I just ate my lunch and drank all these liquids.
That gives me, like, vibes of the same thing of, like, when you're going on a road trip with your family and, like, you didn't have to go before you left, but then you had to go, and you're like, you say to your parents, like, hey, can we pull over somewhere? It's like, well, we just fucking left. Like, you should have gone before we left.
It's like, I tried, but now I have to go.
But does anyone else have any other stories about, like, maybe they had to use a bathroom and like their teacher didn't let them, or yeah, like you got hurt and they didn't send you to the nurse? Like, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, teachers love to goaltend those restrooms. It's like their job. Besides teaching, it's their favorite thing to do.
Well, and then isn't this a thing though in some schools? I never had it in my schools ever, but I've seen it on, like, TV and stuff. Aren't there, like, hall monitors or something?
Occasionally. Sometimes kids are tasked to do it. Sometimes other teachers are tasked to do it. There are occasionally hall monitors. But the thing is that oftentimes they're not there. But if they are there and you don't have a hall pass, then you're kind of screwed. Because you definitely get in trouble.
I just read the chat. I don't know why I didn't read the chat a second ago. But Pumpkin said it was swollen and I was crying. My mom rushed me to the ER after school and she raised hell. Yeah, that's good that she raised hell. That's perfectly, like, gosh. And then Katie says, in kindergarten, I crashed into this kid and split my eyebrow, and my principal actually carried me all the way to the nurse. Aww. That's adorable, actually. Yeah, the principal. The real MVP. Pumpkin says, my brother was gonna have that same teacher, and my mom said hell nah, and pulled him from the school entirely and put him into a private school. Oh, see, that's technically kind of what happened to my sister and I. Oh, let me say Tabari's story first. One day in middle school, I chugged a Gatorade before school and threw up on the bus ride to school. Aw. Oh, just the things we do when we're little.
Yeah, it's always awful when you're like, I've drank too much liquid and I made a mistake.
What I was gonna say though, about the getting pulled from school. So the reason I went into homeschooling halfway into middle school, was because my sister and I had really bad anxiety, and we were getting bullied by other girls in the school, and we also had like a lot of health issues starting to spring up around that time in our lives, and so we were absent from school a lot of the time for obviously all those multiple reasons. Whether it was like we were too scared to go because we were being bullied, maybe we weren't feeling good because of our health, that kind of thing. We just didn't go, and so we started to, our grades started to drop because we weren't getting stuff done, and so the school obviously got concerned with that, but they got concerned in the way that a school would, not like they should, like they started saying like, so why are you absent so much? And like we would tell them like, oh, it's because of this, and they'd start doing the thing where like whatever reason you would give them, they'd be like, oh, but you can get through it anyway, you still need to go to school. Like they they'd be like, oh, it's just an excuse. Everyone has that problem, everyone has that issue. And like they even got the school counselor to talk to us. I know my sister told me one time the counselor actually pulled her in to talk about like how she was getting bullied, because we told them, and like she asked her like who was bullying her specifically, and my sister, in all trust, thinking nothing would happen if she told told the counselor who it was, and the counselor went and got that girl and like brought her into the room and said like, so why are you bullying her, stuff like that. It's like, are you serious? That's not how you do it. And like she did the whole like, well, I'm not bullying her, and like just being a total bitch, and like it was like really bad for her. If my sister's still listening right now, I don't know if she is, but yeah, you can give them your take if I said it wrong or if I left anything out, but pretty much that's what happened. And yeah, and then also that same counselor also ended up like at one point telling my sister and I that we were like, sometimes we would go to our Oma's house if we weren't going to school, and because they knew that, they for some reason used that against us and said like, we're using our Oma to not go to school, which was so absolutely disgusting of them. And I still think of that like a lot, because like we loved our Oma, right? Like we went there because she took really good care of us when we were sick all the time, and it was just a generally peaceful place for us when we were like stressed out, that kind of thing. It was a nice place to be, and just the fact that they said we're using her was like just so disgusting, and for a school counselor to say that, like, and it was okay, like, it's oh gosh. But sorry, I feel like I'm ranting, but like counselors sometimes are just the worst, or just how schools take care of things, like in air quotes, take care of things. It's just, they go at it the wrong way, and it doesn't help anything. It makes things worse sometimes. But we ended up getting taken out of school because of that. Like my mom was in the room with them when that happened. And that was her boiling point too, where she was kind of like, all right, I'm pulling them out of this school. I'm going to put them into homeschooling. Because the teachers aren't helping, and this is just fucked up. Let me read your chats, you guys. Sorry, because I was, kind of going on a rant a little bit there, but let's see. Golden says, I remember in elementary school there was this kid that shared my name. He was going around bullying kids, cussing, and punching/kicking special needs students. Aw. I got in trouble because the principal thought it was me. Oh my god, seriously? I was so confused and upset that I got suspended. My parents literally torched the principal and made her cry, and she ended up getting fired due to being a bitch to me and screaming at me in the office. Oh, shit. That's some good comeuppance right there. Very nice. But, like, that's so fucked up. Like, you guys have the same name. That's, you can't, and also you need, like, solid proof. Like, couldn't the special needs students, like, couldn't they bring them in, or, bleh. Couldn't they bring those special needs students in and say, like, hey, is this the guy, right? Like, and they didn't even do that? Like, they had no solid proof then. And, yep. Yeah, good reason to get fired and stuff.
First off, to my cousin, I actually heard about part of the story, but I didn't know the principal ended up getting fired for that, or that, like, you got suspended for it. So that's actually awful. Like, and it's awful that they didn't fact check that at all. But with the special needs students, it really depends on what they're struggling with, because some special needs students, because I had several that attended my school, they just don't have the capacity to communicate that well at all, and so they wouldn't be able to give reliable testimony in that kind of situation, really. Let's see. Yeah, Golden Guy says, yeah, she asked no questions and just assumed it was me and not the literal delinquent that already had a history of bad behavior. Yeah, that's that makes no sense. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
I changed schools like growing up, 3 elementary, 3 middle, 3 high. That must have been rough.
Yeah.
It's difficult to make friends when you're swapping around like that.
Also, yeah, Katie, definitely, you don't talk to the child with the bully present. That's so fucked up. You just don't do that. Like, even to this day. That's they always push nowadays, right? They always push for kids, if they're being bullied, to speak up. This is a reason why they don't. and they wonder why people don't.
Oh, yeah. And, like,
oh, sorry.
Okay. No, you can go.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, Golden says, yeah, she asked no questions and just assumed it was me. Oh, you just said that. That's right. Mm-hmm. Who's going to bed? Did someone say they're going to bed?
Have a good night, Golden Guy.
Just he's going. Okay. Good night, Golden. I was so confused for a second. Oh my gosh. Katie says, we had a special needs student in one of my history classes, and I will never forget the time he put a whole bunch of staples in his mouth and spit them on some kid. Oh. Oh. Yikes.
That is spicy.
Yeah, it's a spicy meatball. I know it shouldn't be funny, but oh man.
That kind of is funny.
It is.
But I guess on bullying, I had an experience with that. But I guess also in terms of the counseling situation with your school counselor, with you and your sister, that's fucked up. Sorry to go through that. And ultimately, that makes no sense why they would claim that you're taking advantage of her when it's she of her own free wills, letting you stay there, and it's your grandmother. That makes no sense to me at all why they would assume that. To any capacity or extent. That's ridiculous. Yeah,
they just completely they did the whole like, oh well, there should be absolutely no excuse to you not going to school whatsoever, and we're not going to care if you give us any reason. And like, they just it was just a whole bad thing all around.
But yeah, I have a story about a bully in middle school, and now mind you, these days I am a large creature, and tall. I'm like, just like very slightly taller than average, if not like about average height, and I'm very broad shouldered and stocky. But when I was in middle school, I was just like this chubby, like deformed looking mutant, and I was just like a bookworm. I kept to myself. I was like, just reading like 2 books a week, 3 books a week from the library, just chilling out, just free nerding out. And there's this one kid who had some anger issues. The first encounter I had with him was in history class. I think this was like, had to have been 7th or 8th grade. It was middle school, maybe close to the end. I think it was 7th grade, middle school. And so, he, came up to me and he just asked me calmly, "Oh, can I borrow your pencil?" And I'm like, and I was currently taking notes because we were like, we were finishing up class, and there's still the notes on the board, so I was like taking notes. I'm like, not right this minute because I'm taking notes. And so he just snatches the pencil out of my hands and like writes down what he needs to write down and like throws on the ground. And so he clearly had some pent up anger issues.
Yeah, what a little bitch.
But I just I walked away from it. I was like, okay, whatever. And there's like a couple other instances like that where he just like loses temper and do something. And then I remember I was sitting in science class, and the science teacher and I had a really good relationship in that science class because I was like super ahead of the material, and I would just like literally got to the point where like I had like A+ everything in that class. So I would just sit there and read novels all the time, and it was like a free period where it was like studying, and if you had work to catch on, you catch up on it. But otherwise, I was just reading the book.
Yeah.
And so the bully type kid, he was talking with people. He was hanging out, chatting. and he like makes fun of me for reading. He's like, "Oh yeah, you reading that book?" And I of course bite back and I roast his ass because like I'm not taking it. Like I took it like the first couple times and then I'm like, okay, now you're getting on my nerves. So I was like, at least I can read. I could basically just call him illiterate.
Ooh,
He
ooh.
took that personally. He came around and he got in my face. He's like, "Say that again." I was chipper about it. I was like, "Okay, sure," and I said it again. And he like shoved me over a chair and I fell on my back and like. The adrenaline, I didn't feel any pain at all. I just got back up and got right back up in his face. For being a kid that would not have won a fight with him, I was incredibly brave. But I got back in his face, and the teacher broke it up beforehand. And he didn't get either one of us in trouble, I think. The reason they may not got him trouble is because looking back on it now as an adult, I think he might have had a really troubled household that caused him to act that way.
Oh, whoa.
But
Hold on. Bruh, you're rating me with 24 people. Welcome. It's nice to see you all. We are.
They missed my...
we're talking. We're kind of like in the last 15 minutes, but we're talking about school stories right now.
Welcome. You missed my epic story, or at least most of it. I have to finish up that a little bit. So anyways, I was talking about like this one confrontation I had with like this bully type character in middle school. And so it basically shoved me over the chair. Now the one's got in trouble because I got in his face. But like, teacher didn't get him in trouble. I think honestly he had like such a troubled home life that they might have excused him in certain ways because middle school he's still learning to cope with that kind of stuff. And looking back on it, he definitely had like some kind of like abuse at home or something that made him act out like rashly like that. But in middle school, I didn't think I had that far. I was just like, this kid's a dick. And after that whole encounter though, he never messed with me again. He never like, because it wasn't a matter of like he beating me to fight, because at that point in time he probably very well easily could have if we tried to fight. But
Definitely.
It was a matter of I stood up to him and he knew that I wouldn't stop doing it. And so I wouldn't be like an outlet for him to like, let go of his frustrations and not get any consequence for it.
Yeah. Just saying, don't always fight back though, kids. Please don't.
Yeah. We didn't exchange any blows. He shoved me over a chair. And I feel like I did get hurt, but I didn't feel any pain from it. I was just like, okay, that's kind of annoying, and I got back up.
Yeah,
so
that reminds me of I remember in middle school there was this one kid who had like the hugest crush on me, and he used to like shove me into walls randomly in the hallways. And I remember just being so confused. Like I didn't do anything. I was just kind of like, what the fuck? Like what are you doing? And like he just never really gave me a real reason. He's just like, I felt like it.
That's some like weird harassment type stuff. That really is. That is really bizarre. I never got anything like that. It might be like a gender based thing, but I feel like girls were like, especially in high school, would just tease me all the time. But I feel like it was like partially like an attraction thing, but also people just don't know how to act at all. Guys would mess around with each other, but I feel like by the time we hit high school, there actually was less conflict than in middle school because everybody kind of knew the repercussions of it, and also because most people were like cooler with each other. And so everybody like knew each other, especially if you were a senior, you like knew everybody basically besides like they're like just like new freshmen. And so everybody was like most chill with seniors as well. And so it got more chill as I went in there and went through the motions and everything else. In retrospect, I think I got hit on a couple times, but I was also incredibly dense. And so I didn't realize it at the time because I'm like, I don't want to make any assumptions about this moment. But looking back on it as an adult, I'm like she was definitely hitting on me. So there was a couple moments like that.
That's funny. Oh gosh. I do want to say as well. I know I said welcome before, but definitely thank you, brah, for the raid. We're only on like our last 15-20ish minutes of the stream, but I really appreciate it. So thank you again. And yeah, thank you for the follows, you guys. I really appreciate it.
Welcome everyone.
If you have any, oh sorry, I got an alarm going on. Let me turn that off real quick. If you guys have any school stories that we can talk about for the next last minutes or whatever, let me know. It could be elementary, middle, high school, college, university. Could be nostalgia, maybe not nostalgia.
Oh, you know?
We've talked a lot about like I remember I told a story about like it was a huge rumor in elementary school about there was like a snake in one of the trees, and there was also like we talked about bomb threats. We talked about how it's not good that one of our school counselors brought the bully in to talk to the person who told them, like, they're being bullied by this person. They actually brought the bully in to talk with them, which was, like, the most terrible idea. Like, without their consent. What else? Oh, sorry, I missed your comment right before the raid. What was it, Tabari? Let me look. In my second elementary school, I was a playground safety officer, had to break up fights occasionally. Damn, alright. You must have been good at breaking up fights.
That's a metal job. That's like being a bouncer as a kid for other kids.
Yeah.
Break it up. Break it up.
Could you imagine?
Tag.
Could you imagine the safety officers becoming like bouncers in the future? Like that was their future job, is just being a bouncer because they were so used to it from like school.
Like it gave me the confidence to throw people out of the way when I need to.
Oh my gosh. What else did we talk about? We talked about like special days at school, like pajama day, spirit day, sports day. What else did we talk about? We talked about cool principals, mean teachers, cool teachers. School food, like lunch. What else was there? We talked about like when people used to bring like Tamagotchis into school and like Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, that kind of thing. I'm trying to remember more. I mean, if anyone wants to listen from the beginning, it'll be on my Twitch later, and also I will be uploading it to my YouTube channel as well, which I should probably shout out my own Taminogi YouTube channel. Haha. If you wanna subscribe, that'd be great. Thank you. I'll also put my temporary link to my Discord in the chat for you guys if you want to join that, and I can give you a role. But yeah. So if you guys have any stories, you know, you can definitely talk.
I also have one more minor story I can share.
Sure.
So first, I'm going to say welcome everybody, and also Tamara, sorry if I'm kind of cutting in and like making attempts at interrupting here and there. I'm not trying to interrupt you purposefully.
No, you're good. Like, I do the same thing.
Yeah, it's just like I have a thought in my head. I'm like, I gotta say this before I forget. That's my priority, and then I start to interrupt. I'm like, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
So basically, my last story. I think you know the guy the quiz bowl story I said before. I think I dubbed him Alex as his real fake name.
Actually, and, really quickly. Sorry, I'm just gonna mute really quickly while you're talking about this. But go ahead.
Okay. And so, yeah, I dubbed this kid, I think in my last story, I dubbed him Alex. That wasn't his real name, but it's his real fake name. And so, Alex and I were hanging out. We were in National Honor Society, and we had to advertise some kind of event for National Honor Society. And so we were chatting with each other, Alex and I, and we were in a computer lab, and we're like, okay, what can we do to advertise this thing? And like, we can make posters. And it's like, no, nobody reads those posters because they're boring and they suck. And so we were chatting. He's like, oh, okay, what about some meme posters, right? And so you're like, oh yeah, because before we had never seen the meme posters, right? They're commonplace in schools now, and at least I know they're commonplace in my old school because of what we started. But we made like the first like meme posters and put them up for this one National Honor Society event, and then immediately afterwards, basically every other like poster for every other club was suddenly a meme poster where there was not before. Like we began the trend in my school with the freaking meme posters. And they've persisted ever since. It's become a school tradition, apparently, to just spam tired meme posters.
Let me just say, and you realize, because all schools do this, there's going to be those kids that are going to say, like, no, we're the ones who started it, even though you were the one who started it. It's always going to be like, who actually started it? Oh, yeah, it was me. Just because.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, like, honestly, I had not seen a single meme poster in the entirety of the school. I think this was our junior year, so we've been there 3 years. We hadn't seen a single meme poster. Never happened in middle school. That's before memes were like super widespread in like pop culture, though. Like as they became more mainstream, more kids knew about them. Social media blew up, and so you were like, of course, memes. And ever since then, it's just been nothing but tired, spammed meme posters at my school. So what was originally supposed to be a novelty that was going to happen maybe once or twice. Well, it's happened about 8 trillion times now. So everybody at my old school, you're all welcome for that. I'm sure you're just really happy about that.
We don't even know who you are. You don't even go to this school. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that was like the last That's the last big story I can think of right off the top of my head. Anyway.
Oh wait, hold on. I have one that you haven't told me yet, and that was the choir one.
I don't know. Do I have any particular choir stories? Because I was thinking, I was a choir kid. I was in there for 3 years, high school, and I'm not a very good singer, but I was making it. I was bass originally because that's like the lowest voice type, and then they put me to baritone, which is like mid range, and you sing like low, mid, and high, like a little bit of high range. And the highest range is tenor, and I don't have a voice for tenor. I can't do like the freaking Maroon 5, freaking like shrieks. I can't do that stuff.
They shriek? What? No.
Not really shrieking, but like just like the high pitched stuff.
Yeah,
like most of the male pop singers. I can't do the really popular tenor voice.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of like actual choir stories though, because we messed around a lot in choir. Yeah, but it was mostly just like a lot of rehearsals and practice and goofing off. But nothing super story worthy. I guess maybe the time I was recruited into choir because the teacher knew me from like the middle school. It was like a middle school, like something between like an acting and music class, like some kind of like weird hybrid class. I made this puppet, this hand puppet that looked like a mitten with some like Zac Efron hair and like and like it was actually like the Beast. So like it like this bestial face and it had like this glued on Zac Efron hair, and I'm like, yeah, this is like a fusion between Zac Efron and the Beast. I'm just going with this. So we like made the puppets and did other stuff in middle school, just goofy stuff. And the teacher knew me from that. And so and she was actually the high school choir teacher. And so sophomore year, she comes up to me. She's like, I see you have study hall at the end of the day. Would you like to be in choir? Because, of course, choir, especially male choir, there's nobody in it.
I have another story after this.
Okay. And she's like, you want to be in choir? I'm like, no. And she's like, you want to be in choir, don't you? She like bugged me for like 2 or 3 days until finally I was like, fine, I'll be in choir. And I'm like, she's like, you can just leave if you don't like it. You can just check it out. And like I go and check it out, and like I sang a little bit, and all of a sudden I was like, I love choir. And so
oh boy,
I stuck around, and it was a lot of good fun. But no big choir stories themselves I can think of right now, just because it was all pretty boring and by the books and everything else. And like our teacher was of course dramatic, and we got no funding, and she always complained about it because band has actual instruments and we don't, and then all of a sudden that's somehow miraculous how we don't get any money. It makes sense.
Yeah. Tabari says I went from am I going to say this correctly? Is it tenor?
Yeah, tenor.
Tenor to bass within like 5 months in middle school.
Yeah, that's applied to middle school choirs when your voice comes in and you realize that you have a handsome baritone and bass, bassy voice like this. And, before that, you're like squeaking and you're like in tenor. So there's definitely as the voice changes, you definitely fill out the basses and the baritones. People drop out of the tenor. Tenors, I think, was like one of the least populated sections, although there's quite a few tenors in my school.
Oh, gosh. Oh, okay, so I had a story from before I forget it. I remember when I was in grade 2, I'm not sure why, but for some reason I don't know if my teacher did it, but I was like forcefully signed up for a play that was coming up in the school, and I didn't even get to pick a part. They just randomly made me one of the narrators. And when I was little, I was one of those people. I would never sign up for a play. Like, I remember going up to the teachers constantly being like, I didn't sign up for this. Why am I doing this? And, like, they never really told me a real reason. They just said I had to do it. and, like, I was apparently a really good narrator in the end. I almost forgot my lines. I remember at one point I had to, like, there was like a teacher in front of the stage during the actual like the real thing, not a rehearsal or anything. There was a teacher in front of the stage, and I remember crouching down to her in the middle of someone else's part and being like, I don't remember my lines. And then they're like, yes you do. And then I remember like it was my part immediately, and I stood up and I immediately said my lines, and it was like all correct, and I was like, oh well, okay, it's done with. Yes. But yeah, so apparently I was a really good narrator, even though it didn't feel like I would be, because I was always very, like, stage fright for everything. So
yeah, you have a very radio-friendly voice, like a
Do I?
very, like, yeah, it fits that role pretty well. And I can relate, because with choir, that's how it always was. You were super tense, and then you actually, like, went out, did your songs, you're like, okay, this is easy, actually.
Well, let's get into in the now. No, I'm kidding.
Let's get into it. And I had something I was going to say, but I don't remember. I lost my train of thought. Something or other. choir, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. The drama clubs and the getting forced into plays. I always dodge that stuff like the smoothest criminal imaginable. You would not even believe. Like, they'd be like, we're putting you on this thing. I'm like, no, you're not. I would always dispute that kind of thing, and I'd win. And usually I'd get out of it. But like when it comes to drama classes and choir, especially, the teachers for those classes just like prowl around and just try to snipe students as hard as possible because they're not that popular.
Yeah.
So they'll like poach you from your study hall.
Oh,
they'll
man.
poach you.
Man, in grade 2 I must have not been cool. Well, there goes my dreams. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it's not about being uncool, especially in elementary school. They just like pick people at random or think that people who think they'll fit. But in high school, I feel like because it's like more structured and they're more serious about it, they snipe the hell out of you. They'll poach you from whatever class they have to. They'll be like, no. You see, you already have all your science credits. I checked. You need to come here and acquire with me.
Gosh. Does anyone else have any stories? Or I guess technically we are at our time to end. Unless you guys want us to go for another half hour. Well, it depends on Gail, because I know Gail has to go to bed, but...
No, now it's like, it's midnight, so it's actually okay for me. I can keep going.
What do you guys think? Do we want to keep going for another half hour, or is it time to end this chat of school? I will wait for the answers.
Let's see, chat. Pumpkin Skies. I have no rhythm, so I'm musically challenged. Honestly, when it comes to rhythm, I had a terrible sense of rhythm until I got in a choir, and then like I gained a sense of rhythm, and I never lost it. And that was like kind of one benefit is like you do gain that sense of rhythm. Even if you're not playing an instrument, even like the choir, you do gain a good sense of rhythm because you have to be on time.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff is really helpful. It's also nice for like artistic expression, just singing around, singing or goofy. We had like sea shanties and other goofy stuff.
That's cute.
yeah. We had like the goofiest stuff that we sang. I think it was we sang like the Civilization 2 opening. I forget what that was called. Was it? I remember like one line, but it was like all in some kind of like African dialect. I don't remember. I think it's Tu La Sizwe, and then I don't know. I probably butchered saying that. I don't know what it originally would be pronounced in the native language.
Ghosty is saying, I don't know what school is.
Only good thing I ever got a class.
You sure do. Don't be a troll.
So he said, only good thing I ever got out of class was taste of art and music. Yeah, because those are the most fun classes because you didn't really have to do too much. You don't have to try that hard. You just got to sing or play your instrument, which of course took effort, but like it was like very relaxed compared to like straining your brain. Like I got to cram for this test or I'm gonna fail. It's just like a different vibe. And then the art classes is similar because usually it was all participation based because they don't expect you to be like the next like freaking Picasso. They're like it can be trash, but you need to actually exert effort and try. And I'm like, that's fair. And then I draw my trash and they give me like the gold sticker and give me an A.
Yeah.
And that was just more relaxing than like having to cram for tests and like be like, oh no, I'm going to fail. So yeah, those tests were.
Oh, are we going back into the art talk?
The art talk with the art teachers that don't encourage,
they're like, no, you draw anime is wrong. Bad.
Yeah. But then they talk art. About, yeah, I said the same thing earlier, but for those of you who weren't here to hear it, they talk about the anime. They're like, anime art, disgusting. And then like they talk about like Salvador Dali and like surrealism. They're like, look at these melted clocks. I've never seen such artistry. And like stuff like that. It's like, okay, so you're praising that, but then you're just debasing anime because your own personal opinion, even though you're supposed to be broad-minded because art is art. But now you're not seeing it that way. It's always your own personal biases sprinkled in.
See, that's another good topic for that. They wanted us to be more expressive. I'm like, I am being expressive. What do you mean I'm not being expressive? Like, it's like how do you how are you to judge that? Like, maybe they are being expressive. Fuck you.
It's like I'm in a high school art class. I'm not thinking about my internalized anguish or anything like that and putting it into my piece. I'm thinking about just like drawing some shit and getting an A. I'm not putting that much thought into it. Are you kidding? They're like, no, you need to show me how much of a tortured artist you are. You need to pour in your true emotions, your passions, your feelings. It's like I can't even draw a circle correctly, and you want me to you want me to like, put my you want me to like determine my entire psychological profile by looking at this art. Come on.
You know what I really liked in art? I'm just remembering in art class in school. I remember being given the project where, like, someone draws, like, let's say, like, a circle, and then they pass it on to the next person, that person draws something on it, and then the next person draws something on it, and it just becomes its own thing.
Yeah.
Like, slowly. And I remember someone always made it all, like, fucked and stuff, but it was still really fun. I found that fun.
Kids would always start to draw like a penis, and then that would end up looking like a goofy ass fucking face because they knew they couldn't get away with it. But that was the experience with the pass around art thing. It was always like starting to draw something inappropriate, and then as they shy away from it, it just looked like the most ridiculously distorted form of a human. That's usually how it ended
and like
up.
the best part of it was if someone did draw something like more inappropriate on it, it wouldn't be like blamed on anyone because who actually did it? Nobody knows. Because the teacher wouldn't know until it was completely finished, right?
Exactly.
Nobody would get in trouble. Well, it would be more like, oh, well, don't do this, kids, and then like everyone would get in trouble, not just one kid.
Yeah, they just hide it and pass it quick, so they'd lose track of who drew what.
Yeah.
But that was the funniest thing. Okay, reading the chat, Ghosty. Let's see. I hated art during my junior year due to the art teacher curriculum. Teacher was fine with anime, but like they wanted to be more expressive. Okay, we did read that. Okay,
Tabari says, I remember doing poetry in language arts.
Yeah, I did poetry too. I liked poetry. I did poetry through senior year.
I hated poetry. Dude, I hated it so much. Oh my gosh. Like, the thing that I keep remembering, which I have now, for some reason, as I was saying that, I just completely forgot it, which is absolutely terrible of me. I am so sorry. I was gonna say what it was, but now... like, I just said that I always remembered it, but now I don't.
You always remembered it until you forgot.
What is it called? It's that one type of poetry.
Haiku?
Well, I do remember haikus. It's 575. But... Or was it 757? No, it's 575. Anyway. It was the one... It started with an O. And I remember it because it had such a weird name, I think it was. It was an...
I don't remember.
Oh, something. I don't remember it. Oh well. Maybe someone will put it in the chat, but if not, it's fine. I'm probably just talking random stuff.
I have a poetry story I can share, but first I want to finish Ghosty's comment here. Pokai, all right. Teacher was fine with okay. Okay, so I'm not about to reread that for the third time. No thanks. All right. So next thing, like I got to the point where my class, my last photo project for my art class, and I'm like, I guess I'm gonna make a paper katana, paint stuff on it, and call it art. And I remember 8th grade, I wanted to make a Crusader shield from Mabby, but that's on the Alban Knights emblem. That's actually, I feel like if your teacher lets you get away with making a paper craft katana, though, I feel like that's like the coolest thing. If you're like, in school, you're just like in middle school, you're like, oh yes, you'd make it a sword or a shield or something, because like that makes it interesting to where you're engaged in wanting to make it actually decent instead of it's just like make it more expressive. Draw sketch on some paper and make it expressive. Show me your entire life story. It's like, bro, I'm 15. What life story? Come on. Your lifelong anguish as a struggling artist. Let's see, Tabari. I entered a poetry contest after high school. My poem was added to the book of poems that was published. Unfortunately, I never ordered the book, and it's no longer being printed.
Oh,
that really sucks. You might be able to find it if you know the name of the book or could track it down. You might be able to find it online as like a PDF or something.
That would be a really cool thing to find. And if you do find it, put it in my Discord. Honestly, I would love to see that. Actually, what else? What else can we talk about? What are some other classes? What were the classes that you excelled at, and what were like the classes you just completely failed at? Because I failed. Oh my gosh, I failed completely with math. And when I say that, I mean like I actually have what I call math anxiety. When people try to teach me math, I'm so bad at it, and I try so hard to learn it, but it takes so long for me to learn it, and I usually forget. Like, if I do figure it out finally, I forget it, like, the next morning. And most times when people are teaching me something, in the middle of teaching me, I will break down crying because I'm so frustrated at myself that I can't learn math. And I actually failed grade 8 twice because of math, and only because of math. But I was really good with, I think it was, English, and... I was pretty good with science as well, I think. But I think I've forgotten a lot of science by now, unfortunately. But I remember being really good with it. Same with social studies. which I don't know if you guys call it social studies in America, but that's what it was in Canada. Okay. But yeah, what kind of classes did you guys, what were you good at? And what were you bad at?
All right, so I was bad at math, like a lot of people, and I think it's mostly, it depended on the teacher. If the teacher was decent, I was, pretty good at like picking up on it. I was at least average. But if the teacher was trash, I did not want to put in the effort to actually learn outside of school, especially when it came to math. So I was like, fuck it, and I just like took being below average at it, and just barely did like the bare minimum to get like an A minus. And then everything else, I excelled at it to one extent or another. And I think it's especially due to English, because I was reading so many books all the time. Even through like high school, I was reading like 2 books a week.
Yeah.
That like I was ahead of my peers in like the reading comprehension, and that made my writing better too. And so like I like breezed through the English classes, not because I was just necessarily talented at it, but because like I was indirectly studying by just reading all the freaking time. And then I think in terms of like science, I had a natural niche to like, if something interested me, I never forgot it. Like I didn't even really have to take notes in science class.
Yeah.
Because like if I was interested enough, I just remembered it. The only class that was like middle of the road for me was social studies itself, because I never could remember the dates, but I could remember like the gist of like all the stuff. So I did actually have to study for the dates in social studies, and like how things like happen, and like the order of operations. Like, okay, this happens before this, then this happens. I had difficulty keeping it straight a little bit, but for the most part, I was like above average at it, and that's just because I was interested in like the general historical layout of it. But like math, it just became more and more of like a divide for me. It got tougher and tougher as I got older, because I was just kind of like too lazy to really want to put in like all the extra work it would require to be like decent or better at math, and it made me frustrated, because like I didn't have to put in nearly as much effort for the other things, and I could have kind of coasted by, just like by doing my thing and not putting in a lot of effort, and just like taking notes in class, and like that's it. I didn't have to study too much. But then for math, it was like the exact opposite, so it just annoyed me so much. And at the time, rather than being like, I need to improve myself and study, I was like, this is cutting into my gaming time. Could be playing Mabby right now. Like I'm like checking my watch. Like I could be reading my books right now. I could be finishing up the Aragon series right now. I don't have time to learn math. You tell me I'd be learning using pre-calc in real life, and I'm sitting there in Kroger trying to get the best deal. I'm trying to use pre-calc. No way. Come on. They're trying to convince you like you won't have a calculator everywhere you go. Bet I won't. Now look.
All right, let's go through. What you guys said. Ghosty says, I failed at theory of knowledge and European history. Aw. Pumpkin says social study, or you were saying to social studies, as in like you guys have social studies, or were you saying you were good at social studies? You hated chemistry. Chemistry was sleepy time class for you. Tabari says math and science were my strongest, followed by language arts, foreign language, and history. Ghosty says only good thing I was at was, oh, you worded that so weirdly, was math. Just out of curiosity, anyone got any interesting lockdown stories? Ooh. And also, actually and Pumpkin says had social studies too, okay. Lockdown stories, the closest thing I have to a lockdown story for school would be technically, I believe it was just when power went out. When power went out, everyone would just kind of do their own thing, but it was like kind of a lockdown. I'm not sure why. I think maybe because the weather was so bad outside, maybe like a tree fell down, it was maybe too dangerous for us to go out. But, oh, Ghosty says, I was asleep during a lockdown. Yikes. Does anyone else have any other lockdown stories?
All right, so to check out the comments here, let's see. Hated chemistry. Chemistry was sleepy time. Chemistry, I was good at science, but as soon as I started introducing math into science, I was like, wait, this is science class. Put that shit back. Put it away. I started.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. 100%. Agree. Yes.
Yeah.
See, like I said, I was really good. See, I used to say I was really good with science, but the reason I said it this time, like I was okay with science, like I was pretty good for a while, but I forgot most of it, is because they put math into science, and that's where I started to fail it.
Yeah, I was so frustrated with that. I was like, fuck off with that. I went from like excelling at science to like average, because my like absolutely terrible ability at math dragged me down. So it was like, it was frustrating, because it was like I had to actually study, and my chemistry teacher was awful. I mean, he just really did not articulate things as well as he should have. And then when I found out I got him I was going to get him for physics.
No.
And he just like gave us a sheet. He gave us a sheet and like told us like didn't give us like any hints. And like some of the kids were like ahead in math, but I was like just like on grade with it because I was a bad like terrible at math. And they're like, oh, you don't know any of this stuff? I'm like, no. And so like day 2, I was just dropped the class. I was just like, I don't need the credits for this. I just kind of want to do it.
Yeah,
and
no,
like,
fuck that.
I know, but I know this teacher's not going to teach me jack, so I'm just going to drop this class. I'm just going to drop it.
I feel like that's actually a huge thing. I've heard that from so many people. That it's a huge thing that people just will completely drop a class because of the teacher. Like they know the teacher is bad, which I like just knowing that there's so many people that have that problem, and that they've done that just because of a bad teacher. Like that's obviously a huge problem. And like I feel like schools should actually just look into that, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at dropout rates, see if people are dropping out more in a specific teacher's class, you know. Figure out why.
Yeah, my school was somewhat good about that. I mean, they're actually pretty good about it, but they always caught on a little late. And so, like, it was my senior year. I had so many credits, it was ridiculous. And I didn't even need to take physics. So I was just like, you know what? Easy senior year. I can have more free time. I can leave earlier. So I just dropped physics with no repercussions because I was ahead on my credits. So I was like, no. See ya. Because I didn't realize that that teacher, the same one who was like terrible at chemistry, was also going to teach physics. But like as soon as I saw it was him, I was like, oh no, here we go, because he didn't teach anything. He just put it like right in front of you, and he like kind of described it a little bit, and he's like, so this is this, and this is this, and that looks like that, and now you know how to do it. It's like, no, I don't.
I'm going off of Pumpkin's comment about having silly tornado drills. We don't have tornadoes where I'm at, luckily. I assume tornadoes are super scary. I think about it sometimes. If I were to go somewhere that had tornadoes, like what would I do? It would be so scary to me. But we actually had earthquake drills, and that was just, you know, get under a desk, get under a doorway, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was the same thing for tornado drills. Basically, sometimes most of the time they'd line you up out in the hall as well, and you'd like just go hands and knees against the walls so you're away from the windows. Or under desks if you couldn't get like out of the hall.
You guys would go all out in the hall? That sounds dangerous. I guess, like I said, I don't know about tornadoes.
Yeah. It's a tornado that shatters all the windows and send the glass flying everywhere. So it's actually safer in the hallways if it's not near windows.
Oh, okay.
So, but the thing is, we never once risked actually getting hit by a tornado. It never was during like a storm or anything. They're always like, we're obligated to do this by law, so you have to go out here and sit here.
Also, I want to
tornado drill.
Katie, you said a tornado tore apart your whole town in, like, 1991? That's gotta be scary. Like, were you guys affected by it? Like you and your family? Or... Because that sounds really scary. That must have been hard to get past if you guys were a part of that. Or, like, not even just your family, but maybe your family's friends and all that. Must be a devastating thing to go through. Yeah, if you look up the tornado in Plainfield, Illinois... IL is Illinois, right? Sorry, because I'm Canadian, but I no longer live there, so I'm not doxing myself. Okay, good. Sorry, I just realized, am I doxing them? But no, that's good that I'm not doxing you. But maybe they'll track you down by... No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, tornadoes are very rarely a problem in Midwestern United States. I mean, it depends where you're at, but like where I'm at, very, very rarely a problem. Maybe like one serious drill a year, if that, usually on average. Sometimes a few times, sometimes never. It just really depends on the year and like the weather and everything else. But it's quite uncommon, but it can happen.
Katie, they won't find you, don't worry. They won't. Oh, wait, maybe me saying that is like some sort of challenge. Please don't. Please don't, you guys. Your mom said that she saw it coming right towards your house and it turned at the last minute. That's some scary shit.
That is scary.
That is yikes right there.
See, that's the yikes. Oh, God.
Ghosty says, eyes. Also, I just want to say welcome to anyone who's just joining us. We have like 10 minutes left. I am not going to be extending it any further like I have been. But thank you for the follows as well. Thank you for joining me. You got just over 10 minutes left. So what else we got, guys? Anything that I haven't touched upon for school stuff?
Yeah, interesting lockdown stories in terms of what Ghosty asked in particular. Not really too many super interesting lockdowns. We did talk about lockdowns earlier, actually. Although I don't know if we use the term lockdown, but we
Oh,
did talk about
the
lockdown.
bomb threat thing.
Yeah, the
Technically,
bomb
yeah, I guess
threats
that does. Yeah.
and like people like the police finding drugs and yeah, those are all lockdowns.
You know,
So,
just school
like,
stories.
school stories. But there like there was always bomb threats from petty kids going at each other, but there's like never actually a bomb. And so it's like the same with like drugs. They rarely actually found drugs. A couple times they did, and like some kid had to get suspended or like I think in rare cases expelled. But it wasn't like a very super common occurrence. Like the lockdowns, and not too many of the stories were like super notable. Most of it was standard stuff, and the tornado drills were literally just like run-of-the-mill standard stuff. Like I don't think I ever was in school during an actual tornado when it was a tornado drill. It was always just like literally the same as like a fire drill. There was never actually a fire. It was like, as the name suggests, a drill. You just like go out and practice.
Yeah.
The whole like evacuation thing. It was
Yep.
never actually no. It wasn't actually a real tornado like buckling down.
Yeah. Ghosty says, what about programming, like IB or some sort of special education classes? I don't have any stories for that kind of stuff, but if anyone else does.
All right, so I was in a couple AP classes. I sucked at them because I was lazy and didn't want to study, but I did manage to pass them. And I'm trying to think. We didn't. The issue, and this kind of like it doesn't frustrate me per se, but it makes me a little salty that they started doing college credit plus classes, which were like free during they're classes that are free during high school,
Okay.
and you get college credits if you just complete the class normally. And for AP classes, the way they're differ is that basically you like learn like a normal high school class with an AP class, but then you must pass the AP exam at the end to get college credit. So it's not about passing the AP class. You can pass the class just fine, but you only get credit if you pass the AP exam. And the recurring problem with AP classes, and this happened with every AP class I was in, is that the teachers would essentially slowly fall behind schedule the AP test until we like wouldn't learn like 40 to 60% of what we need to know in the test, and then they would try to cram us like the last like 3 weeks before the test and just cram at like the rest of the curriculum, and it never worked, and almost everybody failed those damn tests. And so almost nobody got college credits, and it was a complete waste. So I'm actually really glad that they moved over to College Credit Plus, but that was like after my senior year, after I'd already graduated.
Yeah.
Because my sister did get to do College Credit Plus classes, and I was like, no. I mean, I'm glad you get the benefit from it, but like, I wish it was that way because I tried to do that. I tried to do the best I could with that, but that was just awful. Like the way AP was structured.
Oof, boy. Oof.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
But the AP classes were a doozy. I mean, besides that, not really much. I had a couple clubs. I was in quiz team. I mentioned a quiz team story earlier this ye old stream, and then I was also in like a small club for writing. There's like this resident nutty professor teacher. I think this was my junior year.
Harley,
I wrote like
I know you don't get it. a lot of this I actually don't get either because I was never in like high school. So, but continue, Gail. Though some people know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah. But I was actually in this writing class. It was like an advanced writing class. My junior year, I think, is what it was. Maybe. No, it was junior year. And so this guy was like the resident nutty professor. He was very eccentric. Everybody memed on him. He was very not actually crazy, but just like he made himself an easy target for kids to pick on him. So he constantly get like picked on. But he was actually a very intelligent person. But he was just like so eccentric and like very, I don't know, just a strange person in general compared to like normal conventions. But he was really nice. And so I was in the class and just like shredding out these writing assignments. And not only did I take it seriously, but I did some better work in the class. So he's like, no, I want to do a special club for some of you kids that are doing really well in the class. And so we ended up making a club. He didn't have a name for it. So we were like, okay, let's have a petition to find a goofy name. And so we made we're like Knights of Symmetry. That's a goofy name. We voted on one of the goofier names. And it was just like this goofy semi-poetry club where we just did whatever and talked about whatever literature we wanted to. And it didn't last super long. It was very disorganized because the teacher himself was very disorganized. Yeah. But one thing he always did was he bought us like a crap load of candy. And he's like, go nuts. Go hog wild. So like we'd eat like a ton of candy and just
candy,
chill out.
Yes.
Free candy. Like the gigantic sacks of like brand name candy. And so it was like... Yeah, we like a literal like gigantic sacks of name candy. And so we just snack all that and like talk about like Lord of the Rings, like literature, like other crap like that. And it was a good time. I think we only like actually had it like 6 or 7 times versus like the dozens of times throughout the 4 years of high school I went to quiz team. That was just like a sporadic thing like junior year. And then
That's
I think
awesome,
he ended up
though.
having it was really cool. It was really cool. And unfortunately I think he suffered a stroke or something. He was a smoker.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And so yeah, he had to like get rehabilitated and stuff. I don't think he ever came back to the school. That was really unfortunate too, because he was a really cool guy, and like I really enjoyed being in this class.
I hope that
And it was
guy's
just
okay.
I do too. I mean, like it sucked because I tried to get in contact with him, but like I couldn't get any of his contact info.
Aww. It's so sad. I don't like stories like that. Stop. That you... Gosh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It has a tragic ending.
Oh my
let's see.
gosh. Gail.
Oh yeah, someone here in chat. You played Minecraft. Oh, I actually was a moderator for a Minecraft server from like 14 to 16. That's like a whole different story for another day.
Yeah.
I think that could drag on for a little while. But I actually did moderate a server, and I was pretty good at that whole thing. It was fun. You get to like do this, like, investigative stuff, and like you like there's like tools on the server where you could like scan and see who like last interacted with blocks. So you're like playing detective to see who griefed what half the time and who stole what from each other, and banning people.
Yep.
So it was literally like that, and doing ban appeals and everything else. So it was actually interesting and cool. But yeah, that's a whole that's its own topic. We don't have the time for that one.
No, we have 5 minutes. So I do want to say, thank you everyone for joining me today. Honestly, I always appreciate it when you guys come to chat. That's what this whole Let's Talk thing is about, right? It's whether it like whatever topic it is, you know, we just want to engage you guys in talking with us and telling stories about school, whether you know, elementary, middle, high school, or like maybe the other topic the other day was food. We talked a lot about like dislikes and likes for certain foods. And on Monday, it was kind of a quiet one on Monday, but we talked about Mabinogi wishes, which were like what we wish to see in Mabinogi, whether it be like realistic or unrealistic. I've got a lot more topics that I've written down in my book. That I've had all of this stuff planned for like a couple years now. But I just never got to it. And I figured, you know, now's the time that I can actually get into streaming. So, that, you know, that's actually a really good thing to do on a stream. So, yeah, that's how this whole thing came about. I hope you guys enjoy it. 'Cause I know some people just play the game and like to listen to something off on like the background. And, yeah, I mean, people seem to like the In the Now videos that I do. And they like to play the whole playlist of them, so it's kind of similar to the same thing, I think, except it's something that you can actually chat with me about live. So but yeah, thank you Tabari. I enjoyed the Monday stream. That's because you were in it, Tabari. No, I'm kidding. I'm glad you liked it though. Thank you for all the follows. I do want to say too, I'm pretty sure after the stream is done, I don't know if it'll have to refresh or anything first in like the new day or something, but I'm pretty sure I'm getting affiliate. I don't know what that'll do. I think that means I can take donations, maybe? I'm still new to Twitch, so you guys can tell me. But yeah, I'm gonna get affiliate if everything works out as it's supposed to. People can sub. Does that give me any money? What does subbing actually do, though?
I think it gives you a cut of money.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I'm not actually doing all this for money, but you know, if I get money for it, then okay, cool. Get you do channel points? Oh, that's really cool. Very, very good. But yeah, I was thinking of doing some other stuff on my streams as well. Sometimes I do like little casual Phasmophobia streams as well, if anyone ever wanted to go check those out. Or just hang out when I do that. It's a little spooky game, but yeah, I've been planning on other Mabinogi stuff as well though, since I know most of you are from Mabinogi, so what else is there? So for the people who are going to be watching this on YouTube, because this is going to become a VOD, this has all been live on my Twitch, which is also Taminogi. It'll be in the description anyway. So hi, YouTube. But for the people who are watching live, I do have a YouTube channel that I've been using since like 2017 already. It's got like almost 400 subs. although 60% of people that watch me are like not subscribed, so I think it's more around like 1,000 people that watch me on there. But I'm also Taminogi on YouTube, if you don't know already. And I do also have a Discord. I've linked it in the chat a couple of times, but if you want that, let me know. I can link it again in the stream chat, but if you're looking at YouTube, I'll have it in the description as usual as well. But yeah. And today I was with Gail. If you didn't know the guy talking the entire time with me, it's Galetaer.
Galetaer indeed. Nice to chat. Nice to honestly get a lot of input from everybody here today and see the different questions posed and different input. It was actually really awesome to see people's experiences.
Yeah, of course. But yeah. Thank you all for coming. I should probably check and see. Let me go check and see if I can raid anyone. Real quick. Someone from the Mabinogi community. Unless I'm the only one. Okay. Well. Looks like they're pretty much all Korean players. I think. I feel like it's kind of bad to assume, but I don't really have anyone to raid. Otherwise I would raid. Sorry?
It is more popular than KR, so that makes sense. You got the giant Mabby crowd there.
Yeah, look at that. You got some people that have like there's that one that's 67 viewers. Damn. You know, if I had 67 viewers, that'd be great. But anyway, so I guess I'm not going to read anyone tonight, but yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys another day. Goodbye.
Peace out, guys. Punch.